What time is it?
Let's start by saying Happy St. Patrick's Day. You guys probably didn't notice, but it is St. Patrick's Day. So let's call this meeting to order. Everybody please remove your hats. Everybody stand up. Mr. Bode.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike. Mr. President.
In the event of an emergency, we have the doors in the back. Everybody please slowly, don't panic, walk out down the steps and away from the building. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the white sheets provided at the front room. Any cell phones that ring during this meeting will be very much thanked and taken so we can donate them. So keep your cell phones off. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hickey.
Here.
Medina.
Here.
Yamikaitis.
Here.
Minichinko.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Cosby Hurling.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Byer.
Here.
Colibus.
Here.
Mr. Alvarez.
Here.
No, we're not.
Is that what we did?
Please, let's not
I
scream.
went first and then you went.
Approving the minutes of February 17th, 2015 regular meeting. Motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion for approval of the minutes of February 17, 2015, and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Yamikaitis.
Yes.
Minichinko.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Byer.
Abstain.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez.
Yes. At this time, we're going to go with presentations. Mayor, is the lady here? Ms. Slater?
Yes, I believe I saw Ms. Slater here in the audience.
Lolita Slater? Going once? Are you Ms. Slater?
Go down and make sure.
Do you have ID? No, I'm only kidding. The mayor will meet you down there. No, stay there. Yeah. You look very Irish today.
Good evening, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I have with me Lolita Slater. She is a member of our community, grew up in the 8th Ward, where I grew up. But not only that, she's a very active person, and she's always demonstrated, even as a very young person, a concern for our community, a concern for people overall. She's always expressed an interest in making sure that our young people are on the right track and on the right path. And she's taken on the task of trying to organize right here in Linden some of our young people and to see to it that they're on the right path. And for that, we commend her. And we have a resolution. And this resolution, the initiative is coming out of Washington to try to help what we call at-risk youth, to provide them with direction, incentive, and ways that we can keep them on a good path. So Without any further ado, I'm going to read the resolution, and if Mrs. Slater would like to come up and talk about it a little bit more, we will certainly give her that opportunity. The resolution is pretty much self-explanatory. It's supporting the My Brother's Keeper initiative to help young men of color stay on track by building ladders of opportunity throughout the Linden community and region. And it reads, whereas My Brother's Keeper initiative is focused on helping boys and young men of color achieve success and ensuring that all young people can reach their full potential. Whereas part of the My Brother's Keeper initiative, President Obama issued the My Brother's Keeper Community Challenge, which is a call to action to encourage communities to implement coherent cradle-to-college and career strategies for improving the life outcomes of young people and ensure that they can reach their full potential regardless of who they are, where they come from, or what circumstances in which they are born. Whereas the 6 goals of My Brother's Keeper Community Challenge are to ensure our youth enter school cognitively, physically, socially, and emotionally ready, ensure our children read at grade level and by 3rd grade, ensure our youth graduate from high school and are prepared for college and or career pathways, ensure our youth complete post-secondary education or training to enter the workforce, ensure all youth out of school are employed, and ensure all youth remain safe from violent crime. Whereas the My Brother's Keepers Community Challenge encourages communities to focus on at least 2 of the 6 goals and to conduct a policy review and form recommendations for action to address these issues, as well as to launch a plan of action, next steps, and a timetable for review. Whereas the City of Linden accepts the My Brother's Keeper Community Challenge to join communities across the country to implement strategies that will put boys and young men on the path to success by working and partnering with foundations, businesses, and community leaders to ensure that all young people, including boys and young men of color who are willing to work hard, have an opportunity to get ahead and reach their full potential. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Linden pledges its commitment to the My Brother's Keepers Community Challenge to continue to build on the use of proven tools throughout the Linden community in order to expand opportunity for young people, including access to health, transportation, environmental quality, nutrition, outdoor recreation, mentorship, and high-quality early education, help youth secure employment, and to partner with stakeholders and police to reduce violence, to make our classrooms and streets safer, and to enhance the vitality and prosperity of our community. So as you can see, the resolution is pretty much self-explanatory. It's just our city committing to trying to ensure that we address the at-risk children in our community, to see to it that they are afforded all opportunities that we can afford them here in our city to have successful lives. And without any further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to Mrs. Slater. Again, we commend you for taking on this tremendous task. And you know you have your work cut out for you. But again, I commend you, and I know the people who are working with you. We've actually have her working as part of with the Mayor's Youth Commission to try to address this. We tried to place her in an area where we felt was, best for her to achieve this goal. So without any further ado, here you go. Oh, here's your resolution. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Lolita Slater, and Derek has taken on the challenge of the My Brother's Keeper initiative that Obama has put out. My Brother's Keeper has been out for about a year now, and the goal of it is to basically make sure young men, not even though it emphasizes young men of color, it still emphasizes young men, because there's 6, like he mentioned, there's 6 areas where we want to improve. I won't get into them because I can go on talking about this challenge, but my commitment to the community is to try to get to the community together, because the first actions that we'll be taking is doing a big summit. We want to do a summit where first we bring out the fathers in Linden of every nationality, everybody, because it starts with fathers. We can work with the children, but we want to see, what's missing in the community. How many households have single-parent households? How many don't have fathers? So we can see where we're bridging the gap there. We want to also acknowledge the fathers of the city of Linden, because at the end of the day, the father is the head of the household no matter what nationality it is. I don't want this to seem as if this initiative is limited to any nationality or just the Black community or Hispanic community. It's for everybody. We want to implement programs to make sure that our children are ready for preschool. We want to make sure we implement programs that all our children are reading at a third grade level at age 8. We also want to work on making sure that everyone is graduating high school, that we can somehow put in some type of work programs for children to be ready, because the whole point is to make sure that our children are ready for success in the real world. Again, I will be beginning to, with a summit, which we will have a launch for it to invite everyone out. And when we have this summit, it'll be like a town hall meeting where we'll have the children. We want the children to come out, because a lot of times we make plans for kids and we don't have them there. We don't hear what they want to say. So I'll have different panels. I'll have an educational panel where I'll be working with the Board of Education. I'll have a panel with just men, different nationalities, different walks, and then I want a panel with the kids to see what the kids think. Like, we want to find out what's going on in our community with these gangs, what's making the kids join these gangs, what's going on even with the girls, what's going on with the girls with all this fighting. So there are a lot of things that this initiative deals with, and the good part about it is I'm working hand in hand with Obama's right-hand man that deals with this, Tahiti Boone, and he has committed himself into coming into Linden from DC to work with me to help me get this going. So I look forward to working with everyone on the council. I will be reaching out to everyone because I want to be in everyone's ward to get the different aspects of what's needed in each ward, what's needed in the city of Linden, so we can make a difference, because our youth are our future. They're the ones that are going to carry the torch when we're not here. And I'm from Linden, and my children are in Linden, and I just want to see these children succeed. I will be starting a Facebook page for this, and I have some business cards, but my email address, if anybody wants to help out with this initiative, I want to join forces with the police force. I've already talked to Captain Parham, so it's different people, but this is an initiative that I can't do alone, and I need everyone's help, and it's not limited to anyone. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing, and I'm glad she honed in on it. When she first came and brought this initiative to me, I told her it's fine, and it kept mentioning people of color, men of color. But what I liked about Lolita's approach and what made me really sign on to it was the fact that she says, all young boys, because we all know that trouble has no limitations. It has no barriers. The same things that affect the African American household affect the Hispanic household, can affect the white household. These are problems that do not discriminate. They go everywhere, and young men can go astray regardless of where you're from. And it's our job as the leaders of this town and leaders of the community and parents and teachers to try to address it. So we can ensure that we have a nice city. So when we hand it over to these young people, they'll be able to maintain and take the baton, take over as we move on. Okay. So once again, thank you, Lolita. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a few pictures here. The next item on the agenda, we were going to hand out resolutions for the high school football team, and apparently there's been some sort of miscommunication, and none of the high school players are here, nor the coach. So we're probably going to waive this and do it next month, in the hopes that we'll reach out to them and have them show to our next meeting.
This is a date and time established for the public hearing for ordinances on hearing. Ordinance 59-05.
Bond ordinance authorizing removal of underground storage tanks and remediation at sites at various locations for the engineering department, appropriating $110,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $104,500 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has any written communications been received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this particular ordinance? Then, recognized members of the public who wish to speak, if any. Nobody wants to say. I need a motion for this ordinance.
Council President, make a motion for the passage of ordinance 59-05 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. This is a date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance on hearing ordinance 59-06.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $176,000 for the acquisition of sports utility vehicles for the police department and authorizing the issuance of $167,200 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any written communications been received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone here in the public that wants to speak on this particular ordinance? Okay, can I have a motion, please?
Council President, make a motion for the passage of ordinance 59-06 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. This is the date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance 59-07.
Bond ordinance authorizing the resurfacing of various streets in the city of Linden, appropriating $2,310,000, and authorizing the issuance of $2,194,500 in bonds and notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any written communications been received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this ordinance? In that case, let's have a motion.
Council President, make a motion for the passage of ordinance 59-07 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. This is a date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance 59-08.
Bond ordinance amending bond ordinance number 55-12, finally adopted by the City Council, City of Linden, on March 15th, 2011, relative to the closure of the Linden landfill.
Has this ordinance been published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Is there, any written communications been received?
No, sir.
Anybody wishes to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Council President. I ask the hearing be closed, ordinance 59-08 be adopted, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. This is the day and time established for the public hearing for ordinance 59-09.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a schedule of titles, salary ranges, and regulations for maintaining the classification and salary standardization plan for all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15, 1995, and approved August 16, 1995. Add Schedule 4-JJ-3.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any written communications received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this ordinance? Okay, may I have a motion, please?
Council President, I ask the hearing be closed and ordinance 59-09 be passed and seek a second.
Second.
Ms. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Medina?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. This is the date and time established for a public hearing for ordinance on hearing 59-10.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $1,100,000 for wetlands remediation for the landfill and airport, and authorizing the issuance of $1,045,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any written communications been received?
No, sir.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this ordinance? Ms. Hero?
My question is, it's $1,100,000 for wetlands remediation for the landfill and airport. That's an awful lot of money. What are we getting for it?
A direct answer to that is wetlands. What we have to do, and Mr. Vorchek will be able to answer a little bit more, we have to be able to build a certain amount of wetlands that was taken away. Mr. Vorchek?
Yeah, there's 52 acres of wetlands which will be created or enhanced. They have to take away a lot of the phragmites and put in other types of plantings. A lot of this is from an ACO that we signed 10 years ago for the airport development.
Okay, so basically, this is mandatory. We have no choice in the matter.
Yes, and this is just the beginning. This is something that happened many years ago. We have inherited, and we have to get it done within the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you. Do you know about how much it's going to come, the total cost will be after it's all finished?
No, I couldn't give you an idea, but we'll add it up for you as we go along.
I guess we'll find out. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
Council President, make a motion for the passage of ordinance 59-10 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks? Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Communications consent agenda. Before I start, the gentleman in the back, can you please remove your hat? Thank you, sir. All items listed with asterisks are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or a citizen so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Items 1 through 8. Does anyone wish to remove this item? Anybody?
Do I just delete it? Yeah. Or remove number 7?
You don't have to move it. Just say that it's removed from consideration. Remove it.
At this time, then, I ask for a motion.
All right. Bear with me here. Council President, I'd like to make a motion for approval of consent items 1 through 7 with exception of, under number 7, the removal of fire department for Michael Ira, captain, for his retirement for April. Michael Reha. All right, they crossed it out. For April 1st, 2015. I ask for a second.
Second.
1 through 8. I ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemekaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. At this time, let's go with the committee reports from the governing body. Mr. Colbus, why don't we start with your committee report?
Thank you, Council President. From the License Inspector's Office, the City Clerk's License Division is submitting this monthly report for the month of February 2015. This office issued 7 dog licenses and 32 miscellaneous licenses and collected $2,902. Also, from the Office of the City Clerk, the following licenses have been received by the City Clerk's offices for the month of January 2015. A total of city revenue of $4,388.80 and state revenue $525 for a grand total of $4,913.80. And for February, city revenue was $6,318 and state revenue was $425 for a total of $6,743. Personnel and Committee Report. I ask for approval of the following FMLA NJFLA leaves. A, employee ID number 107244, intermittent NJFLA, from January 31st, 2015 through July 1st, 2015. B, employee ID number 000075, intermittent FMLA, from January 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2015. C, employee ID number 000180, intermittent FMLA, from March 1st, 2015 to September 1st, 2015. And D, employee ID number 000163, intermittent FMLA, from January 21st, 2015 through February 20th, 2015. 2, approval of a seasonal personnel list to carry out Department of Public Property and Community Services program. The list is on file in the Treasurer's office. 3, in the Division of Public Property, the retroactive payment of $16,186.80 less applicable deductions, including taxes and pension payments, following the offset of unemployment payments to 4 Dwayne Jones. 4, in the Construction Code Department, the hiring of Tracy Birch as a part-time clerk 1 at the hourly rate of $18.98, not to exceed 19.5 hours per week, effective March 23rd, 2015, pending successful completion of all applicable background checks. I move for approval and seek a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemekaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
I'm voting yes to number 1 and number 3, and no to number 2 and number 4.
Brooks?
I'm voting yes to numbers 1, 2, and 3, and abstaining for number 4.
Brown?
Yes to all, abstain on number 4.
Byer?
Yes to all.
Colbus?
Yes to number 1, 2, and 3, and abstain on number 4.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes to all.
Motion is approved.
Okay, first of all, as I continue my report, I want to say congratulations to the Linden High School boys varsity basketball team for being the Union County champs. It was a great effort. They beat Roseau Catholic. It was a very hard-fought game. And for being also the North 2 Group 4 champions as well. They had a great season. So I commend Coach Phil Colicchio, his staff, and all his players for all their hard work. Any first ward resident who has a Any concern, I could be reached at 908-925-5568 or at ccollish@linden-nj.org. This concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Chris. You're quite awake. I'm falling asleep here. Thank you for the,
That was a very insightful report I gave. I know, I hope I woke up the crowd out there. Thank you.
Mr. Byer.
Yes, from the Engineer Department. Last month, it was announced that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, forwarded the revised preliminary flood insurance rate maps to the city. These maps affect streets in the 6th and 7th wards. FEMA has now scheduled an open house for Thursday, March 19th at 10 a.m. in the planning room in City Hall to answer any of the questions the public might have. Representatives from the city of Rawley and Elizabeth are also invited. If you cannot attend, the city engineer can be contacted for further information. His phone number is 474-8470. The Environmental Commission is sponsoring the annual Earth Day poster contest. It's open to all school children. All entries must be submitted by March 27th. The judging will be held Wednesday, April 15th at the Linden Public Library. And the awards and the awarding and prizes will be at April 28th council meeting. Speaking of environment, the environment's actually cleaning up in Linden. I'm pretty impressed that we have a nesting pair of bald eagles living in Linden. I think they've been here since Hurricane Sandy. They lost their nest during the hurricane, and like most residents of Linden that lost their property or homes in Linden, they rebuilt. They rebuilt their nest, but they didn't use any FEMA money. And they raised children. Last year they raised two baby eagles that took off. And I don't want to give out the exact location of the nest, but if you're riding along Route 1 and 9, you'll be able to see the nest from Route 1 and 9, right in the center of Linden. And that just proves that Linden is cleaning up, and the environment's getting cleaner, and we have American bald eagles living here. That's a great thing. At the landfill, I have a great news. The landfill been cost us money. Here we just talked about spending $1 million. Annually, we spend about $400,000 on a landfill just to maintain it and to do repairs. For instance, there's electrical wiring that goes underground. It feeds a pump that pumps out the leach agents that seep from the landfill. That electric wire has a short in it. We have to dig it up. It's just constant maintenance, and it's very costly. So, and it's been going on for 12, 15 years. $40,000 here, 400 here, 400 there. It just adds up to millions and millions of dollars. It just costs just to maintain it. So we finally we got a contract for solar energy, to put solar energy panels on the landfill. We weeded out a lot of people. A lot of people wanted us to put up some front money, they call it soft money. Linden will put up some soft money, and they'll, fund the project. But we found an outfit, Sun Energy, and they're going to give us about $9 million over a 20-year period to do the solar panels. Doesn't cost the city a penny. All we do is collect the profits. So I think that's a great thing. The city's moving forward. We won't have to worry about the maintenance problem on the landfill. It's a great thing. And I'm glad to chair that committee at the time that this is moving on. Potholes. Potholes are popping up all over. The city has a new system. If you log on to the city's website, there's a button there you can click on city potholes, and you can put where it's located. It goes right directly to Public Works, and they can send the guys right out and work on that. So don't forget, if you've got pothole problems, go on the city's website and click on the button for potholes, and you can put all the information in, and it'll help the city move quicker and take care of the problems. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. From the Finance and Review Committee, approval is requested for the following finance actions. the payment of bills totaling $1,525,920.65. The bills have been signed by the mayor, council president, and finance chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the clerk's office. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Kalbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to take this time to introduce the 2015 City of Linden municipal budget. The budget represents a total of $100,371,367.38 for expenditures for the year 2015, which is a decrease in appropriations from the 2014 introduced budget of $316,766.90. The Finance Committee will continue to work to further reduce expenses whenever possible. The Finance Committee has worked with every department head in keeping expenditures to a minimum. However, due to the State of New Jersey's 2% cap levy and loss and ratables, the municipal tax rate for the City of Linden will increase by 5 points. I am pleased to announce that this is the lowest municipal tax increase since 2006, which includes a minimum library tax levy, or an increase of $69.78 annually per household based on the average assessed value of $134,000, or an additional $5.81 a month. This budget addresses many issues pertaining to our police department. It puts more cops on the streets and addresses issues in our police department, focuses on improving and updating the infrastructure in the police department, along with a major capital upgrade for the public safety communication system citywide. In the Department of Public Works, we address agent infrastructure, adding additional laborers to their workforce, providing training for additional CDL drivers, which is necessary for the department to continue to provide services for residents and address the issues of supervision within the department. I would like to thank all members of the governing body for their assistance, recommendations on the 2015 budget. I would like to especially thank every department head for their dedication and diligence in preparing the 2015 municipal budget. Please be advised that anyone interested in obtaining a copy of the 2015 municipal budget, copies will be available in the city clerk's office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you are unable to pick up a copy, you may contact the city clerk's office at 908-474-8452, and a copy will be sent to you. It is also available on the City of Linden website at www.linden-nj.org and for viewing at the Linden Municipal Library. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Bode, can you please introduce the resolution for introducing of the budget?
Municipal budget of the City of Linden, County of Union for the calendar year 2015. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenue and appropriation shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2015. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Union County Local Source in the issue of March 26, 2015. The governing body of the City of Linden does hereby introduce the following as the budget for 2015. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was introduced by the governing body of the City of Linden, County of Union, on March 17, 2015. A hearing of the budget and tax resolution will be held at City Hall on April 21, 2015, at 7:00 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and resolution and tax resolution for the year 2015 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons.
May I have a motion, please?
I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Kalbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Brown, want to say great job with your committee. I think it's a great budget. CFO, Mrs. Sack? Great job. I really expected bad news, and they worked very hard to come up with what they had. So again, thank you, sir. Ma'am?
And this closing, what we've been doing for the last couple of years, I want to say maybe for the last 2-3 years, council members have been having town hall meetings, so we're going to continue doing that. So I believe that will be on TV 36, maybe even city websites, and so council members will be reaching out to the community. Just keep your eyes and ears open when we'll be visiting various locations throughout the city to talk about the budget. I encourage residents to come out, ask questions. You know, we're out there to give you as much input as possible. So again, just keep your eyes and ears open, and feel free to come to any meetings that we will have out there. End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Monty?
Thank you, Council President. My report involves the Public Property and Community Services. My first report comes submitted by Mr. Tyrone L. Givens with Public Property. I hereby submit the monthly financial report from the Division of Transportation and Parking. This report includes a collection of Orange Street parking meters, railroad parking lots, railroad parking meters, and merchant parking permits for the month of February 2015. New York side collection, $4,737. Trenton State collections, $5,067. Credit card transportation, $16,892.81. Parking meter collections, $10,488.05. Railroad permits, $147, and nothing from merchant permits. Also, with regard to our multipurpose centers, both the Gregorio Center and the Linden Multipurpose Center. Great job, you know, in both facilities. Great job for the MLK program in Ms. Cosby Hurling's ward, the 5th Ward. Excellent program. For those of you who were there, you know, you saw an excellent program. Presentations for art were given. Excellent program. I'm sure Ms. Cosby Hurling will talk about that more. But also with regard to the multipurpose center, we also need to do a lot more work. We need to work together. I've had a lot of conversations with both the director and the supervisors. There's a little give and take in everything. There are positions to be taken, and there are several different ways to get to where it is we would want to go, and we want to make sure that we do that jointly, cooperatively with the members of the committee, the supervisors, the directors, and obviously the members of the communities. So again, great job with regard to the MLK affair. Great job out of both facilities. More work to be done, obviously, a lot of hard work to be done, and I intend to do that with the help of my committee members and with the director and the supervisors of those given departments. In the report.
Thank you, Councilman Brooks. And should I say happy birthday? A couple of days ago? Happy birthday, sir. Ms. Cosby?
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to do the easy stuff first. Good evening. We have a meeting in the 5th Ward on Thursday. It's the regularly scheduled community meeting, and we are going to feature Councilman Brown, who is the Chair of Finance, to discuss any questions that you may have on the budget. It's going to begin at 7:30 p.m. at the Multipurpose Center. If you are available, stop in. Everyone's welcome. It's not restricted to just the members of the 5th Ward community. So that'll be Thursday at 7:30 at the Linden Multipurpose Center on John Street. Councilman Byer did announce the pothole reporting that has gone on the city website. If you want to continue to report them to me, that's perfectly fine as well. My email is rcosbyhurling@linden-nj.org or 908-719-7933. There's a concern about the Canadian geese all over town, but specifically in the IOZ Park on Dill Avenue near the senior citizens and the school. We cannot really control wildlife. I spoke to the health officer, but we're going to try and be a little bit creative when it comes to discouraging them from flocking to that park. And I'm waiting to hear back from one of the supervisors in public property and see if we can have some of those little cardboard or plastic dogs that we see in other towns, just to kind of keep them at bay. So that's something that we're working on. It was pointed out, you know, the geese carry disease, their feces and all like that, and we do use that park. It's a highly used park for walking, and the walking path. I don't have a report from the Housing Authority because the meeting is next month, and I didn't make the meeting in January. I will announce that our park on Charles Street is going to be completed, and we're going to have a grand reopening, which is going to be Saturday, April 18th, and that's going to be done at the Charles Street Park from noon until 2. Anyone come by, see the work that was done, and we're excited about that. It's just missing a couple of items, a couple of benches, and garbage cans, and then the park will be complete. So we're looking forward to having the children off the streets and in the park safely. I'd like to thank Mrs. Burke from School 8 for inviting me to her class. One of her students was actually one of the winners of our Black History Poetry Contest. So Jada was the winner in the 5th grade class, and she invited me to come during Read Across America. The children were wonderful. They asked lots of good questions, and it was my pleasure to go and read with them the Dr. Seuss books, as well as a book that was written, Beautiful Brown Girls, by a young lady here in Linden, an 8-year-old girl who wrote a book. And it's just nice to see children doing things and encouraging parents that help them and guide them along the way. For our Black History program that Mr. Brooks did mention, it is on LindenTV. If you would like to see it, it's approximately 1 hour and 18 minutes. And we recognized Mrs. Jones and Mr. Givens, and they were grateful for the opportunity to be recognized because they have done, in their own unique way, a lot for their community. I'd like to thank the Recreation Department, the employees in the department who helped, the Boxing Association for their sponsorship, the members of the Linden City Council, and a special thanks to the teachers here in the district who actually encourage their students to participate and write poetry or write essays. And we do it on an annual basis. And it's just a way to encourage literacy and acknowledge the African American culture. From the Restructure Committee. This committee was formed well before I was on council. This committee was reactivated a couple of years ago, and we had come to an impasse. So the committee now would be veteran council members, myself, Councilwoman Yamakaitis, and Councilman Brown, and we also have the council president. This committee is tasked with looking at ways to restructure our departments to make the work life of our employees more efficient, also to look at streamlining some processes and saving the taxpayers' money. Now, our budget, the way it has been introduced, is under cap. The committee worked very hard, and all of the council members did have input on the budget, as well as the mayor. On our committee, we had a meeting, and what pains me is there's a savings of $177,000 that was recommended. And this was the recommendation from 2013 and 2015, which has been shelved because it's become personal. Sometimes you have to make a reduction in force. For the betterment of many, you will have to affect a few. That's just the reality of doing business. So again, $177,000 just by eliminating 2 positions in the city of Linden. I don't understand why we can't, as a body, move in the direction of efficiency. When the residents won't suffer. I don't want to punish anybody. I don't want to make it personal, but we have to look to do the best for more and stop worrying about the few that are going to be impacted. I've been in the RIF. It's not fun. It's not easy, but you have to move on. That's business. We also, in our committee, recommended, salary cuts, title changes, and things like that. Again, right now we're stalled. So I challenge the committee members to please go back to the other committees that they serve on, do an analysis, see where the cuts can come from. Because we have to cut, or we're going to be looking at eliminating or privatizing services in the future because we're holding on to certain positions. What else do I have? I think that's it. Again, my number is 908-719-7933 if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns. And please try and make our meeting on Thursday. That concludes my report.
So that was more poetry, more efficiency, and less geese, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bob, you're on.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Just a few remarks. In the Sixth Ward, two of the things that a lot of the people are complaining about, first of all around 10th, 11th, 12th Street, Clinton Avenue, and so on, they're putting in the water mains. The area is, it looks like it's a bombed-out area. It's dug up, you can't go up one street, you can't go down this street. This, of course, is for the betterment of you. It will be fixed eventually, and you'll go back to normal. But at the present time, please put up with actually the mess that it is, but it's for your benefit. At least the snow is gone, and there's more parking spots you could use. But that's one of the big things that we had there. The other one, of course, is the potholes. As was mentioned before, any kind of potholes, you can go online, put it right up there, and so on and so forth. To call the mayor's office, or worst comes to worst, give me a call, and I will call it in for you. But the city is lined with them. I mean, it's all over, not just Linden, every city has. So please be careful when you're driving. In the Sixth Ward, I'm sure it's in the Seventh and maybe some of the others, we are hit with shopping carts being left in the street, on the sidewalk, and so on. I just want to thank, it was last week, the Public Works Department. We had 4 or 5 shopping carts. Usually I collect them, put them in my backyard. They come down and they took them. These were on the street, so they are picking up. Please, don't take them out of there, because they just become a nuisance. The other thing is, I had people talking about, the snow is gone, the streets are dirty. You gotta give the people, the DPW, a chance, to start cleaning up. The snow is gone for only 2 days now. I mentioned the shopping carts, 10th, 11th Street. A couple of questions that were asked me, and it keeps asking me, about the Wawa on the highway. It was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. Definitely, it is gone. They will not build a Wawa on that corner because of location of the airport. It's planes flying over, landing, and so on. It's against the federal aviation, whatever it is, the law. They just can't put anything up there. So don't count any coffee from Wawa because it won't be there. Just as some of the other people mentioned, this coming Thursday at the VFW, that's on Pennsylvania Avenue, this side of the tracks, it's the concerned citizens. They have their monthly meeting. They are inviting anyone I know from the 6th Ward, at least, and the 7th, whatever it is. If you want to be interested in the budget, we will have people giving a talk there. So it's this Thursday, 7 o'clock. If you're interested, please come down there. We'll have the experts there. You could ask all your questions. I'm sure you'll get answers, whether you like the answers or not, but you will get the true answers. I guess that's it. Just with the snow gone, just be careful. Because I noticed with the snow gone, traffic has increased and sped up quite a bit. So please be careful. Okay, thank you. Have a good week. That concludes my message.
Thank you, Councilman Sadowski. And ShopRite did call me, and they're asking for their carts back.
ShopRite's last summer were the only, when I went to each place, they were the only company to send a truck down to pick them up when I had them in my backyard. The only one. Okay.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you, Council President. From the Construction Code Department. The Construction Code Department has generated 124 permits and 40 certificates. We have collected $93,673 for the month. Thank you. As Councilman Sadowski mentioned also, I've been getting a lot of complaints with the water main repairs, and like he said, this is to improve the water quality and the pressure, so please be patient. They're moving very quickly on this. Once they're all done, the roads will be repaved. I got a lot of recalls on Wood Avenue with the trucks and the potholes, and just please be patient. I know it's a nuisance. Also, as Councilman Byer had mentioned, there is a meeting on Thursday with FEMA to discuss the flood maps in every 6th and 7th Ward resident a lot of them are going to be affected by this, so if you can attend, please attend. It's at 10 o'clock in the planning board. That's on the 3rd floor of City Hall, right next to the mayor's office. And that's to discuss the new flood maps. They're changing the flood maps, and there's going to be quite a few more homes in the flood zone. Also, as liaison to the Shady Tree Commission, it's starting to get nice out. Grass is growing. If you have a new tree planted in front of your property, please be careful when you trim around it. Do not hit the bark. Mr. Tandle, he gets very upset, so if we can keep him happy, that'll be great. Also, as Councilman Sadowski mentioned, there will be a budget presentation on Thursday at the VFW. The 6th and 7th Ward was kindly invited. Whoever wants to attend, have any questions, they're more than welcome. Also, I got a little upset. I read an article the other day about the Dragonfly restaurant and referring to it as a nightclub. And it's my understanding that this may be operating outside of its scope as a restaurant. And I've asked the council to request that the city attorney direct the Departments of Construction Code, Zoning, and the ABC Board, as well as any other relevant city department or board, to make sure that this business is operating within the law. This is a family and entertainment retail complex. You got the Chevys there, you got Applebee's, you got the movie theater. You know, this sort of abuse gives our city a bad name, and it will not be tolerated. And I thank everybody concerned. Also, not to step on Councilman Byers' toes, but being past chairman of the landfill and a member of his committee, I also like to state that we are working with a nonprofit organization of the operating engineers, Local 825, to form a partnership and a solution to enhance the required cleanup activities at the landfill according to the DEP requirements. So this, if we get this partnership, it should be quite a substantial savings for the city. With that said, guess we'll start taking lists for tree trimmings and sidewalks, and you can reach me at 908-862-6265 or mminichenko@linden-nj.org. End the report, Council President.
Thank you, Michael. Ms. Yemakaitis?
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to start out wishing everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. It's a great day for the Irish, especially here in Linden. You're not forgotten. So I'd like to start my report with our Fire Committee report. The Fire Prevention Bureau collected a total of $4,849.50 for the month of February 2015. From the Board of Health, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States, but with early detection, it doesn't have to happen. The Linden Health Department is offering a free colorectal screening program utilizing the FIT test kit. Complete, simple instructions and mailer are included with this kit. Screening is recommended for those 50 and older. For more information on this screening program and to obtain a free test kit, contact our Linden Health Department at 474-8420. The Health Department is also sponsoring a free mold remediation workshop, which will be held at the 7th Ward Recreation Center, which is located on Tremley Point Road on Wednesday, April 8th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Workshop attendees will receive a free mold remediation kit and moisture meter. For more information, this is a different number in the Board of Health. Call the Health Department at 474-8409. For the 8th Ward report, I wanted to mention that the Park Avenue Bridge is going to be paved this spring. Thank goodness. It's a nightmare to go over. It was supposed to be done in past fall, but it got delayed. When we have a definite date, I'll let you know. It's going to be done sometime this spring. So traffic will be rerouted, so we will give you some advance notice. Paving for East Linden Avenue will be going out for bid this summer. This project is from state aid grants. I also put in a request to the county 2 weeks ago to have East Elizabeth Avenue patched. That is a county road, but we did put in a request, as many of my colleagues on council mentioned. You could go to our city website as well as on your own street to let Public Works know. They've been going crazy trying to keep up with the potholes in the city. Okay, work will be continuing in McGilvery and Bachelor Avenue parks. We will have a grand reopening sometime this spring. I will give you the date when we have it. We look forward. I know the kids have been anxiously awaiting it, so I will have a date for that as soon as we can. Public Works started to clean up on Bettle Place at the Old Park Plastics Factory. It was a disgrace. It looked like someone dumped a recycling truck after the snow melted. The job is not finished yet. It is so bad that they're going to need to take a payloader there to finish the job. Once again, I ask if you see anyone dumping, please call the police or try to get a license plate number. I want to thank Public Works for squeezing this in to try to start cleaning up that mess. Okay, I also wanted to mention some important dates for the 8th Ward. March 28th is our annual 8th Ward Easter egg hunt, which will be held at Mikowski Park at 11 a.m. sharp. The rain date will be on April 4th at 11 a.m. I will also be having the 8th Ward Community Meeting on April 9th at 6:30 p.m. at Jersey Lanes Bowling Alley. Mrs. Alexis Zach will be our main presenter that evening with the budget presentation for the upcoming year. On April 18th at 10 a.m., I will be looking for volunteers to help with our 8th Ward Community Cleanup Day in honor of Earth Day. After the snow has melted, we notice all the paper and recycling in our curbs and along the roadways and catch basins. We will target certain areas that got badly hit, so anybody that would like to volunteer, please give me a call, 908-925-2309, or you could view my Facebook page, which is Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, and if you hit the like button, you'll receive updates from me. And also, we will have this on the city website. I wanted to make mention, I'm sad to announce that the passing of a good friend of Linden, Carol Hall. Many of people in the 8th Ward knew her as the library lady. Carol was a vivacious, vibrant woman who devoted many hours in fundraising and promotion to the Linden Public Library and its programs. She also ran a caregiver support group. She and her dedicated efforts will be much missed. Before I conclude, I just want to thank Councilman Brown and Mrs. Zach and the Finance Committee for all their efforts in preparing this year's budget. As Council President had mentioned, we were expecting the worst, and to come in under cap was a lot of work on everyone's part. So, as my colleague in the 5th Ward mentioned, we serve on the Reconsolidation Committee, and everything's being looked at, but this has been an ongoing committee for several years now. And one thing I would say, Mr. Koziel, our former councilman in the 2nd Ward, always said, consolidation can occur, but it has to be smart consolidation. You got to look at the services that are provided and who will they affect if they are cut. So I urge all my colleagues on council to look at the whole picture. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Michelle. Question, when is the Easter hunt? March 28th?
March 28th.
11 o'clock?
Yes.
And you'll have a set of ears for me?
I guess so.
Mr. Medina,
his
before we
cameras,
go
maybe.
to you, I'm going to put you on hold because Mr. Calvis forgot something. You believe that?
I'm
Mr.
sorry
Calvis.
to interject, Councilman Medina. Thank you for allowing me to talk, Council President. On April 1st, dog licenses will be available in the clerk's office. This concludes my dog license report.
How old do you have to be to get a dog license? 6 months? Well, the dog, yes.
I don't know, I'm allergic to dogs.
Okay. All right, 6 months. I heard 6 months. Okay, so I'm on violation then. My puppy's 7 months. Sorry. Mr. Medina, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Council President. Councilman Calabas, you could interrupt me anytime or put me on hold anytime, and we'll make sure we send you a notice, Council President, on your 7-month-old puppy. Good evening, everyone. Happy St. Patty's Day. Sorry I don't have any green, but I promise next year I'll have some green on. Just a few things for the 9th Ward, and also just to another reminder on a meeting that we're having from the Linden Citizen Association, which is on March 19th at the VFW, or along Pennsylvania Railroad. Our CFO will be presenting our city budget. Everyone is welcome to attend that meeting. So if you're out there, you have some time, it starts at 7 p.m., everyone is welcome to attend that meeting and get a glimpse at our budget and maybe even sign up at the end as well. Also, just want to announce that we're having a joint 9th and 10th Ward Community Meeting on March 30th at 7 o'clock. It also will include a workshop from the folks from Prudential Financial on Social Security and retirement. I encourage everyone for the 9th and 10th Ward to come out that evening. It's a Monday night. We're also going to be discussing our joint venture with Councilwoman Hickey for the 9th and 10th Ward as well, and it's also an introduction as well. So I'm excited to work with Councilwoman Hickey, and hopefully between the two of us, we can definitely get some things banged out this year. Also, potholes, received a few calls. Potholes are everywhere. Unfortunately, that's what you get when you have snow, ice, salt, plows. It just rips up the road. So just be patient. If you see something, give me a call, 908-986-6100. Text me, email me. Pretty mobile, so you could definitely catch me, and I could definitely report it for you. Or again, you can also go to our city website, but again, if you don't have access to the internet or whatnot, just give me a call, and I would love to report those potholes for you. Also, I just want to let everyone in the 9th Ward know that I reached out to the Union County Police Department in reference to Raverton Road and Northwood Avenue. So far, I believe we had 3 to 4 accidents on Raverton Road on the 60th block, excuse me, right around that curve there when we have the guardrail. We're constantly replacing those guardrails. So I reached out to the county, and hopefully they're going to put out a message board out there on Raverton Road pretty soon, just advising the drivers the speed limit is 35, to slow down, especially when it comes to that curve there on Raverton Road. Also, on Northwood Avenue, it's kind of crazy because Raverton Road is 35, but once you go into Northwood Avenue, it's 25. So people just keep on going down that street, 35 to 40 miles per hour. But it is becoming a dangerous road due to the apartments and the residential side of Linden and Roselle. Unfortunately, a pedestrian was struck on Saturday night around 8 o'clock in the evening. I don't know the status of that pedestrian. It was parked on Linden, crossing back to the apartments on the Roselle side. So it's important that we get our police department and the county police, because it's the county road, to start enforcing the speed there on these 2 county roads. I have advised our police chief. I'm always in his ear, but our police department do the best they can with the manpower that we do have, and they've been doing an excellent job, and I want to again publicly just thank them for being out there and enforcing our laws and getting rid of crime. With that said, that's all I have actually, but I hope everyone has a good evening and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Before we were rudely interrupted by Mr. Calabas, I forgot to say today is Councilwoman Yamakaita's anniversary, and when I asked her how long she's been married, she said 25 long years. So congratulations. Oh, 24?
24.
Oh, I'm
With
sorry.
the same guy.
It
yes,
feels
Bob.
like 25. Ms.
Thank you,
Hickey.
everyone.
Good evening, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I have a few things to go over. First, regarding our Finance Committee, I would just like to really give a special thank you to CFO Alexis Zak and her staff. Being new to the council, the professionalism, the patience they have showed me has been wonderful. I was fortunate enough to sit with every single department head and also every city committee, and to go over the numbers in the budget, and also learning a lot. So I really just want to thank them, and also Chairman Brown for all their efforts and bringing us the lowest budget since 2006. We are starting to move forward in this city, and we're going to be doing well in a few years. I'm very excited about that. From our Revenue Committee, I would like to give a special thank you to Lieutenant Bobolski. We were fortunate to receive a $200,000 grant for Safe Routes to School, which will involve the School 6 area and up to the School 1 area. And being on the Revenue Committee, it isn't always easy to predict what we may receive for the year, but we always do try. And certainly, Lieutenant Bobolski and his staff pulling grants for the city, and this is one of the good ones to start the year off with, and I just want to thank you for his hard work. Tonight was the first night I didn't attend, and I don't know how many years, the Linden Housing Authority's St. Patrick's Day dinner. But I have to give a special thank you to two people who have been cooking this dinner for probably the past 15 years, Bob and Darlene Komorowski, and all the staff at the Linden Housing Authority that come out to serve all the dinners tonight to the seniors and disabled that live in the 3 buildings over on Dill Avenue. And certainly being Irish and having Irish in-laws, it is still the best corned beef I've ever had. I have had some complaints around the 10th Ward regarding garbage cans. If people can please, we can't just leave them at the bottom of our streets or, in the middle of our driveways. It's important to have respect for our neighbors and to keep our neighborhoods nice. I know it's a big can, and some of our residents might get lost in them, but please, if you can, pull them up the driveways to the side of the house, have respect, and let's try and keep our neighborhoods nice. I know DPW has been starting on all the potholes. Yes, there are many in the 10th Ward. I haven't had calls on them yet, but you know what? The water at least has to drain out of them before we can put stuff in to fill them. But I know they are on top of it, and many of our streets have been extremely damaged. I'm hoping in the future that we are not going by ward when it comes to our streets, but by priority, because there are many streets that are a priority, and I'm not just talking about the 10th Ward, I'm talking about all the wards in our city. Another special thank you to the Sheriff's Department of Union County. As I'm a proud liaison of OEM, and I really appreciate these guys who volunteer their time and the other guys who take a lot of time out of their own lives, police officers, to handle a lot of situations in the city, good and bad. Sheriff Creanzo and the Union County Police Department has donated, the OEM has terrible vehicles. They're all on their last leg. But they have donated 2 vans that are in very decent condition. They have over 130,000 miles on them, but they made the OEM volunteers extremely happy to have vehicles to be using for all their jobs that they have to do. I've attended the SIDS committee meeting on June 20th. They are having a kickoff summer bash hosted at the Promenade and a car show, and I'm hoping to get many people in attendance. They've asked me for help to help them. They will have live bands all day, pretty popular bands, and more information will be coming on that. March 30th, as Armando mentioned, I'm very happy to work with him to get the 9th and 10th Ward, working together, moving together, solving issues together, and having fun together in our parks and with our residents and neighbors, because anybody can have blocks to live in. This is our home. We need to have good times together. And last, a special hello to Pauline Blahuda, because I promised her. And lastly, I just want everyone to know that when I ran for office for the people. Any decisions that I make up here, I are not personal. Many situations decisions that I make are based on being very involved in this community for many, many years, in the schools, in the church, in storms, with the police, with the fire department, with OEM. So I just want everybody aware, when it comes to consolidation, I take the quality of life and what things are offered to our residents and what's needed, and I will not make a decision without knowing exactly what is involved when it comes to our residents in the city. And I wish everybody a great and safe night driving home. Watch out for the Irish. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hickey. Mayor, before I ask you for your report, it's going to be a short one. Last time I asked you, I went home at midnight.
Unfortunately, Council President, it's going to be pretty long.
Okay, then you're on, sir.
Good evening, everybody. The first thing I'd like to report on would be On Saturday, June 27th, the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee will be sponsoring the mayor's 5K run/walk. Registration will be held at 7:30 a.m. The race begins at 8:30 a.m. promptly. It will be at Linden Tiger Stadium on Gibbons Street, and we're asking you to please come out and join us in the fun. There'll be refreshments and activities. Pre-registration fee is $25. If you're interested in registering, you can call 908-474-8493, or you can email rbanks@linden-nj.org to register. At the day of registration, it will be $35. So this year, our intentions are to do something a little bit different, not just have a race. We're going to have some health care awareness. We're going to try to have a few games out for the children, just to make an all-out fun morning, so it's just not centered around a run. It'll be fun. Included will be some health care awareness. As mentioned by my colleague from the 10th Ward, I'm pleased to announce again that the City of Linden has been selected to receive a $200,000 grant from Safe Route to Schools program for the Linden School Safety Project. Basically, the grant deals with pedestrian safety. It will address an area from school number 1 to school number 6. And I just want to add that it's a very competitive grant, and usually once you receive a grant of this nature from the state, you can expect to receive additional grants in the following years. I'd like to, at this time, wherever we have a grant, there are people who work on these grants, and we have council members, and Councilman Brown was the impetus of this grant. He initiated this process. So I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. I'd like to thank Councilman Brown for trying to bring awareness to the dangerous intersections that were on Wood Avenue from school number 1 all the way to school number 6. He was very active, and he was very concerned, and he took action, and he worked very closely with Lieutenant Bobolski. He worked very closely with the Board of Education. He worked with Donna Preston, who is the school number 1 principal, and he worked very close with Tia Perkins, who is the school number 6 principal. So again, we thank them all for their hard work and their efforts, and at the end of the day, it's going to make Linden a better and a safer place. Also mentioned earlier was the pothole situation in Linden. The Councilman Byers from the 2nd Ward had mentioned it. Last week, I directed the webpage developer to create a porthole, and it's at LindenNewJersey.org, and there's a little section in that porthole called Potholes, where residents can go to a website and they can input the pothole so that we could be more aware of where the dangers in our city are at. Now, once you input that information into the portal, it generates a request, it sends it down to DPW, and it also sends that request to my office. And that, in turn, will allow me and my staff to know exactly how many potholes we have and if they're being addressed in a timely fashion. In addition to that, there are a number of other ways that you can address a pothole. If you don't have an internet connection, you can just call your council person, you can call my office, or you can call DPW. But we need to know where these potholes are, and in order for us to effectively address them, we need the citizens' help in the city here to help us out. The next thing I'd like to talk about, as many of you are aware, there was a press conference that was held a few days ago regarding the Exxon settlement, and I just want to go on record as saying, I was at the press conference, first of all. I want to go on record as saying that I'm in support of Governor Lesniak's opposition to the ExxonMobil settlement. And basically, Governor Christie has agreed to settle for pennies on the dollar. And I think here in Linden, where we sustained a significant amount of pollution and damage, I just think it's unfair to the residents of Linden. I'll go on record as saying that, we've been a family that's been in this town for 90 years, and I know that my father and his brothers, they used to hunt and fish in Linden at one point, and I just don't think that my children or any of our grandchildren will be able to enjoy that type of life again in Linden. And I think that cleaning it up would be a good step towards trying to ensure clean waterways in the city for future generations of Linden residents. So again, I'm going on record as saying I support Senator Lesniak and his efforts to hold Christie's feet to the fire with this issue. The next thing I'd like to talk about is our St. George Avenue redevelopment. As many of you know, we have talked about at great length putting a justice complex there. We have a group that's out conducting a study as we speak. The justice complex is not a bad idea. I just don't think it's the best idea for the particular area. So I have directed developers, or I've been seeking developers who would be interested in doing an alternative to a justice center. I received some plans from, or a rendition from Capadaglia Builders, and it's more or less a retail type of development. And I asked him to continue to explore some other options, and one of the options that I would consider would be that would be good would be retail along with some sort of residential mix, pretty much the same way that they have done in the city of Garwood. It works very well. You have residential, and they come and they feed the stores along with the traffic on Route 27. I think would be a good type of development. And again, there's no, there's nothing carved in stone with regard to the developments on St. George Avenue. But I will say this, as I mentioned to all my colleagues on council, that I'm going to reach out to as many developers as possible, and I'm going to look at every idea that is conceivable up there, because nothing is happening right now but studies. And if a developer comes to Linden with good plans, and they have the financial wherewithal, and it's going to benefit this city, we as a governing body should move forward to try to see to it that that area is developed, because it's been undeveloped for far too long. And quite honestly, I'm just tired of studies. We're going to study this thing, and we'll all be gone, and St. George Avenue will still be a mess. That being said, I'm going to move on to the next topic. Basically, as a mayor in this town, I have to continue to explore revenue enhancement ideas. And one idea that came across my table was the establishment of a rental property licensing compliance ordinance, where all rental units will be registered and licensed. The fee will not cost the property owner and can be made part of their application fee. Such a program would ensure that all dwellings within the city of Linden meet a certain standard. Of course, we'll have to work out some of the particulars, but I'd like council to explore this, given the fact that the city is now going to have a tremendous amount of new rental units. We want to ensure that these new rentals will always conform to the highest of standards, and at the same time, it will improve existing rentals, and it's a great revenue stream at no cost to the property owners. This, again, the cost can be passed down to people as they apply for the property. What it will do, it will force our construction code to go out and visit those units and ensure that they're quality rentals. And we just hired a new person in the construction code department, and this may be one of the tasks that we can put her, one of her assignments if we choose to go down this route. Another idea that I had that I presented to council was to try to establish a property tax reward program. And what it does, it provides property tax incentives for Linden residents to keep their purchasing dollars right here in Linden. And how does it work, you might ask? When you purchase goods or services from a particular Linden business, you'll receive a credit towards your annual property tax bill. An example, and I'm using some just raw numbers. If you go to a participating restaurant, and you spend $200, and the rebate program says that you receive 20%. When you pay your bill, you present a Shop Linden card, which looks very much like a credit card, and a $40 amount will be applied as a credit against your annual property tax bill. This is being done in some other communities throughout the state, and I think it's a very good idea. And of course, I can't make council do it, but I'd like to see council look into it. I think we have to try to figure out a way to provide some relief to our property tax owners, our property owners and our taxpayers in town. And last but not least, well, no, not last but not least, I did want to comment on one other subject that we broached this evening, and that is with regards to consolidation. Now, I know as a governing body that we have to try to consolidate and save money. That's what we're here for. But I do understand that one of the particular agencies that were being looked at was our welfare department. And my opinion is that we have a good welfare department here in Linden. We address concerns at a local level that I don't think the county would ever be able to provide that we're currently that we're receiving now. If at some point in the future the person or the individuals who run that department were to retire or leave, then maybe we would broach or consider perhaps going to the county. But I certainly, if we would go to the county, I would certainly would expect them to give us the level of service that we're receiving now from the people who are running that particular department now. And it's just a good thing to have social services right in your town. Linden is a big town. I mean, we're 40,000 people, and there are a lot of people in Linden who are, who are falling through the cracks. And to have a social service agency right in your town is just a good thing. And I just would encourage the council members that if we're going to consider cutting, that be one of the departments that we not consider at this point, okay? And now I'll go to last but not least. Received a good call the other day. We were, of course, as your mayor, I am responsible to try to attract businesses to the town and to try to figure out a way to offset our taxes. And in my efforts, I reached out to a company called AG Energy USA. And what they are, they're a company that is involved in energy infrastructure projects. And they're expressing an interest in the DuPont site that we have in Linden. This particular company is currently building a $100 million plant in Maryland. And they said they have an interest to build a $200 million plant right here in Linden. And their product line, they produce renewable waste gas. And how does it work? They build what is called anaerobic digesters. And what that does, it takes in organic waste and they process it. They put it in tanks, mix it up, and it produces gas. Now, there's also a back-end product to this whole thing, and it's called something called, it produces digestive solids. Okay, now digestive solids can be used as composting, and so there's an outlet for them. They could actually sell the compost. Now, they intend, according to their projections, they intend to manage a large share of the food waste and other organic waste that are in northern, central, and many of the New York boroughs. Now, with that, if a company like this were to come to Linden, they'd receive a host community benefit, and that's a good thing. So it's good for the city of Linden. And doing further research, I found out that their major, money's not a problem with them. Their major investor in this company is a company called EDF. It's Electricité de France. And they are one of the largest utility companies in the world, and they serve all of France, okay? Another advantage that another reason why they like the Linden location, they're particularly happy with the marine location because they feel that if they have to bring in their material for processing, they could barge it in and there'll be less trucks on our roads. So, and another thing that they do, their trucks that they do use are all trucks that are powered by gas that they produce. So it's a definitely green company, and I think it's a good thing, and I'm going to look into it a little bit further, and hopefully, with any luck, this company will come to Linden. And that concludes my report, Mr. President. Was that long enough for you?
No, sir, it was shorter than I expected, thank you. And I do like this waste company. I think it's a very good idea. To add a little bit into what Councilman Sadowski said, they're fixing right now the water lines, and of course you'll be able to see it as they dig. I think the next step also, Mr. Verchek, if you can correct me, the gas company is also coming through? They're not going to update their gas lines?
They have not submitted any plans to us for this year yet.
All right, so I heard wrong. Okay, now for this time is resolution time. We have a resolution from 2015-127 through 2015-157. Public comments will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions which have been prepared by the city's clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Okay. Ms. Hero, give me a number. 136, 140, 151, 152, 159. That would be, okay, I'll just keep you there, but that's going to be afterwards, okay? Anybody else? 163, 144, 146, 157, 129, 'Mr. Armstead, are you waving at me? Oh. Okay. Anybody else? No. Can I have a motion on the remaining? Oh, yes? 136 and 146? I thought you were just waving at me. 136 and 146. One 136, 146, both of them. Can I have a motion on the remaining resolutions, please?
Mr. Council President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of resolutions 127 through 157, with the exceptions of 136, 140, 151, 152, 159, 163, 144, 146, 157, 129, 136, and 146. I ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Pedichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Ms. Hero, can you come up for 136, please? Oh, that's not the first one. Okay, 136 is fine.
Okay, this says it's approving a contract with the Linden Economic Development Corporation in the city for a one-year term. Is this like funding the LEDC for $35,000? That's all they're going to get for the year?
That's exactly right, ma'am. That's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Roman?
Resolution approving contract with Linden LEDC for 1 year, 2014 to December 2014. Is this approving a contract of money that was already spent? Or is this a typo?
This was last year's money.
Okay, thank you. So, LEDC has a budget. So basically, Linden Economics, our economic development has a total of $35,000 as a budget. I mean, what are we supposed to do with that? I mean, nothing against any of the members on the board, who I know several of them, and all of them have the love and deepest gratitude for, want to help Linden. But what are they supposed to do? I know a director is appointed, whoever that may be, and I know that they get a $20,000 stipend out of that money. So that collectively leaves $15,000 for all of Linden economic development. I mean, we have a $100 million budget. You're telling me that we're really going to get Wood Avenue moving again with $15,000? I'm just going to continue. Please, at the end, I would love to hear your comments, Councilman Brown. Basically, the county spends $1 million on economic development, even more. How are we supposed to, get things moving again in the city, with the buildings being open in Wood Avenue, a building back there that's been open for 10 years and it hasn't had a resident yet? What are we supposed to do with $15,000? I mean, basically there's two options here. You can either fund it and give it actual fighting chance, find the money. I know we're tight. I know we're extremely tight, so as tight as can be. But what are you going to do with $15,000? So you either fund it and give it a fighting chance, and you let maybe them, hire a consultant and find out what they can do and what they can do just specifically for Wood Avenue, let alone the rest of the city for economic development. Or you just get rid of it, because at that point, spending $35,000 is a pipe dream. There's nothing going to be done. There's going to be no benefit to the city of Linden, very little benefit to the city of Linden. I don't see the point of it. Secondly, I believe January 1st, 2014, we approved the hiring of a business administrator, which we still haven't done yet. I understand why, because there's a list being put together on who's going to be that person and who we're going to hire. You guys are going to, fight it out, decide who's it going to be, and then we're going to hire that person. Once that person is hired, by the resolution that you all, not all of you, but some of you, most of you passed, that person is going to take over, essentially, all economic development jobs in the city of Linden. That's going to be the economic development guy. So basically, a year from now, when you hire someone, there's going to be no reason for this. I know that every single person on that board loves Linden, and I know that they really want to help out, but you're effectively taking that corporation, you're effectively tying their hands behind their back, because with $15,000, there's not a whole lot that's going to get done. I would love to hear from the councilperson or anyone else.
Mr. Brown?
All right, let's address the first issue, business administrator. Business administrators to run the city. Their job is not to run economic development in the city of Linden. So if you look at the ordinance that was passed, most of those duties have to deal with running the actual city, not economic development. As far as LEDC, you have LEDCs in a number of different towns, one of them being Woodbridge. What the city does is give LEDC a contribution. We're not funding LEDC, we're giving a contribution. LEDC is a nonprofit organization which can get outside private funding just like other LEDCs such as Woodbridge does. So whether you look at Woodbridge's LEDC or even Elizabeth, they receive outside funding outside the city. Most of them are not completely funded by the city. So to answer your question, as far as LEDC, their funding, they are more than able, and if they want to get additional funding outside of the city of Linden's contribution and outside of taxpayers' funds. So that's a question I would bring up to LEDC as far as needing more funding. All the city of Linden does, I just want to make it clear, is give them a contribution of $35,000. They're a separate entity, they're a separate organization. So, that's something I suggested, I want to say even 2-3 years ago, is look at the model of other towns. Now, with that being said, Mayor Armstead, I know he's fully aware of that, and they are working with outside organizations to get more funding for LEDC. So I think things are going to change, but at the same time, the city has ways of what they're doing to bring in economic development. Mayor Kabunk just lists, Mayor Armstead just lists a whole host of things that he's been working on, has been doing within the first 3 months of being in office. So.
And all, again, all those things cost money, and to run this, corporation.
Hold on a minute, we're not going to get into debate here,
Okay.
going back and forth.
Can I just
You asked
say-
a question, he answered, and the next question is about the business administrator.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be hiring one soon. Can I have a motion on 136? You're on 136 also? All right. I thought you said 163, but we don't have a 163. I'm getting this dyslexic. All right.
I'm glad I came last because a lot of good questions were asked by this young gentleman, and we got some answers. The only thing that remains to be asked, are we going to be, since you had just said that the business administrator, that individual is going to be doing, will we be getting someone to replace, we had Ron Stavanovich, that was the LEDC, and we're going to have someone to replace him for this organization? Do we intend to get a replacement?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat it again, please?
We had Ron Stefano, who
The
was our
director,
the
correct.
director of it, and so after he left, I think it was John Miliano. And are we going to be getting someone, since the city administrator is going to do has another function, will we be getting someone to take over that directorship for this?
That will be up to them. They're going to be hiring a director. That's not up to
That's not up to
us.
us.
It's them.
Up to us, okay, but then also funds have to be allocated for this. And I would assume that the funds would have to come
No,
from
ma'am.
here.
We give them $35,000.
So that's going to
and
be for,
That's up to them. They decide who they want to hire,
Right,
and
no-
they decide how much they want to pay, if any. And
but the funds or the allocation of it would actually be at the city council's discretion on how much would be offered to this individual, is that correct?
no, we give the LEDC $35,000.
Right, okay, and that's it.
That's it?
But that amount that you're giving, once again, comes from the city council, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. Can I have a motion on 136, please?
Council President, make a motion for the passage of Resolution 136 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Kalbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. 129.
129.
I don't know if I can just go back to what I just was asking, but I raised the question, was there a director that was for LEDC? As I was walking to my seat, someone had just said that Rich Bichelle has already been given this position?
I believe so, but again, I have not received the minutes. You will have to ask them.
Ask Rich
The
Bichelle?
LEDC. The LEDC.
Very good, okay. So going back to 129, a simple question, saying that the payments made by the treasurer for the such and such amounts did not appear in the claims list. What was this,
Mrs.
what
Sack?
are we missing on this?
Every month, we have to ratify expenses that occurred from the previous council meeting. Each council meeting, we vote on the bill list, but there's certain expenses that occur after the council meeting that we have to ratify, such as payroll expenses, payment of certain bills that are not voted on at that council meeting. We have to ratify those expenses. This is what this resolution does
Takes
each
care of
month.
that. Good, thank you.
Can I have a motion on 129, please?
Second motion for 129? And call for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Ms. Hero, number 140, Resolution 140.
No, we did one.
This is regard to health educator services. What are health educator services, and why can't our Board of Health do this?
There she is. This is Nancy Cobbler. She's our Board of Health
140.
Director? What's your title?
Health officer.
What is it?
Health officer.
Health Officer.
What this is a contract between the Health Department and Visiting Nurse Services. Public health practice standards of the state of New Jersey said we have to offer a health education program provided by a certified health educator, and this is our health educator that we contract through Visiting Nurse. We do not have one on staff. She provides the programs for our various screening programs. She'll do a health education component. She'll go out to different groups that request a health education program. She'll provide programs for our daycare centers on everything that's required through the state.
Couldn't we get certified as a health educator?
We have no one that's capable of being certified at this point as a health educator.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have a motion on 140, please?
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Resolution number 144, Ms. Malik?
In this resolution, we're holding harmless, so and so and so forth. And what is the fitness training shooting, but this is in a firehouse? Can someone just explain what this is?
Mr. Dooley, Chief Dooley?
Good evening, this is Malik. Some of our firefighters have developed a physical fitness regime designed around firefighting activities, and they're shooting a video in a firehouse. So they have the right setting, and we've have the insurance rider, the hold harmless, and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent, okay.
Ms. Malik, stay up here. Thank you. May I have a motion for 144, please?
For the approval of Resolution 144, and call for a second.
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 Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Resolution 146, Ms. Malik?
The mayor had commented about being paid pennies on the dollar for being reimbursed by ExxonMobil. Is there anything that's going to be, or could be done by the city with regard to this? You know, any action? I know even though
By the
it's-
city or by the citizens of the city?
Well, the citizens, the city, whatever.
You know, it's not a bad idea.
Beg your
Maybe
pardon?
we can pass it out, have everybody write a letter to our governor, tell him that we're not happy.
But is that, all right, that's your
We
comment, but is that?
have done a resolution,
Mhm.
basically telling him that we are not happy.
Mhm.
And we have, Mayor, who was at the meeting you guys had?
There were a number of elected officials at the press conference. Senator Lesniak, who called for the press conference, we had Assemblyman Green, Assemblyman Jamel Holly, Assemblyman Annette Kiana, our Senator Nick Scuteri was there, myself was there. We had residents from the city of Linden expressing their concern. There was a host of people. Let's not forget John Francis. I don't want to kid John, don't worry. And our freeholders were there as well. Freeholder Hudak. There were a number of people who were there expressing their concern and their outrage. And I'm sure the resolution is one thing, but one of the things that we could do, I have an online petition that's going, just, trying to get as many people involved and make as many people aware as possible so that we can communicate a message to our governor that we don't trust the companies to do the cleanup themselves. He argued that the settlement was one thing and the companies are still going to do the cleanup, but I don't believe that we can trust these corporations to do the cleanup. But while you're here, I just want to add one thing. I don't want anyone to take a look at, we currently have Phillips 66 who's in Linden right now, and they're the current owners of the Exxon property, the former Exxon property. But I want to go on record as stating that the owners of Phillips 66, that they've been responsible and good corporate citizens, and they do an outstanding job trying to address any type of concerns that we have in the city. So I just don't want the public to confuse something that happened with Exxon with Phillips 66. And I think it's important that we understand that, and that they're just very good corporate citizens right now with Phillips 66.
And that was even prior to them, you had Chevron, Texaco that was there.
Yes, we had a number of people who were there after Exxon, but I just want people to, I want to go on record as stating that Phillips 66 has been they've been a great corporate citizen and a good neighbor to us here in Linden.
Thank you. Mr. Ruhlman?
Council President. I'd like to start off by thanking the mayor for acknowledging my presence at said press conference.
Well, you waved.
I just wanted to talk about this for a minute. As most of you are aware, Governor Christie settled this settlement that's been going on since basically 2004, 11 years, for less than 3 cents on the dollar, less than 3% of what we could have gotten, which we wouldn't have gotten, but we could have got something. Big stink was made, and then he went on at a town hall and said, hey, you think that's all we got, $225, but that's on top of what they have to pay to clean it up. So he's saying that, oh yeah, well, I got that too. That's a lie, and that is just straight out. In 1991, there was an agreement that was made that they had to clean up without a cap anyway. So when he said that at the town hall, it was flat out fiction, and he was just trying to deceive the people that were getting on his case about it. So that was to answer your question. There was a 1991 agreement. They have to clean up regardless. $225 out of the possible $9 billion for remediation, reparations, us not being able to use the land, whatever. Basically, he did this because, after a law that he passed in his budget last year states that after the first 50 million, he's allowed to take whatever money comes from environmental cleanups and put it into the general fund for the budget, so he can plug his budget from his, failures fixing the pension problems. And essentially, what he's going to do, there's a Senate bill that's going to make 50% of all money go towards fixing these lands. And he's not going to pass it because it was in the first budget. He line item vetoed it. They're going to pass it again, and he's going to veto it flat out because he needs that money to fix his budget. He honestly doesn't care about the citizens of Linden, and he's shown that. I'd like to thank the city of Linden for passing this inevitably passing this resolution. The county's already passed the resolution just like it. The state passed yesterday, state Senate passed a resolution unanimously yesterday condemning this. And hopefully, once April 6th comes, which is the 30-day period for us to talk about it, we can send letters and send our public comments to the judge, to the Department of Environmental Protection, and to Christie, saying, this isn't what we want as a city. This isn't what county wants, our state representatives wants. Only person who wants this is Christie because, flat out, Exxon, is a huge contributor to campaigns, and it's gonna help him in the long run, but it's a really, really bad deal for the city of Linden. So thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Can I have a motion for 146?
Council President, make a motion for approval of Resolution 146 and call for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Kalbas?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Ms. Hero, 151?
Okay, I'm up here again because we're going to be giving more money to McManaman, Scotland, and Bauman as Special Redevelopment Council. Due to the ongoing nature of the services in this matter, there is a need for additional funds not to exceed $10,000. If I had $1,000 for every time I've been up here giving them more money, I wouldn't have a problem with property taxes. However, that's one of the problems that we're having, is that we get involved in these redevelopment programs, and instead of the private sector paying the attorney's fees, it is the city paying the attorney's fees, and we don't stop. We just continue to go on and on and on with this. And that is why now we're up to $193,932.84, and that doesn't include the amount of time that those properties have been off the tax rolls. That is why government, of course, does not belong in the redevelopment business, as I said last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hero. I agree with you 100%. Government should not be part of redevelopment. If we have land, we should give it to somebody who knows, and they should take care of it. Unfortunately, we have inherited a lot of things that we have to finish up. But I'm going to try, and we have a great group right here who pretty much know what our limitations are. And I understand what you're saying.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to work for that. Thank you, ma'am.
Council President?
Yes.
Just real quick, because I know this resolution, there's another one also. I just want to clarify on some of the fees that are paid, and sometimes the developer does pay us back. I don't know if the city attorney can clarify this, because not all the money that's being spent directly is spent by, or is being sent to the lawyers, if you want to say for lack of word, is being taxpayers' funds. I don't know if the attorney can explain it so that we can.
Danny?
Yeah, and depending upon the nature of the project, there are times where the redeveloper will reimburse the city. City advances the funds. Once a redevelopment agreement is struck with the redeveloper, the city then recoups some of those funds. The next resolution, that is in fact what's happening in that situation. But as to the current resolution that we're discussing now, I would be remiss if I didn't note that some of the bills will be finishing. The Morningstar project has been concluded, and I would also like to add that we are currently getting $3,000 a month now from the tenant that is there. While I hear you on the issue of council fees, but we are moving the city forward, I think, in the right direction. We are getting some revenue from the tenant that's there now.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hero, 152 is basically the same thing.
Yes,
Do you want to comment on that one?
Yes, actually I do, because that goes into the fact that he said that we are, first of all, we're representing the city in condemnation matters. My first question is, what is the condemnation matter that that's being represented?
Danny?
Can we talk about that?
It's my understanding that there are several properties within this redevelopment project where there have been ongoing negotiations between the redeveloper and the property owner. The redeveloper is obligated, as well as the city, to conduct negotiations in good faith. If a resolution is not reached amicably on the sale of the property, then proceedings would commence with regard to condemnation. But again, pursuant to the redeveloper's agreement, those funds would not be coming from the city. So if you notice, this resolution also even mentions that Linden Property Holdings will be reimbursing the city for the cost of those fees.
Okay, which is why I want to talk about. This has actually relevance to this concept. When I lived in Virginia, we were redeveloping in that area. However, there was a guy on the corner. He didn't want to sell the property. That happened to be my landlord. And finally, they gave him a good enough price that he did finally sell. And now there's no longer anything there except a new big condo, and my little thing was gone, sadly to say, because I really liked it. But, however, It was the fact that the private sector decided when to sell, not, oh, he's not coming, we don't think he's giving us a fair price, so we're going to have the city condemn the property. That's not fair. It's up to the property owner to determine what's a fair price. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe, for example, it's been in the family for 100 years or something, and they really don't want to sell. That should be their determination. This is America. This is supposed to be a free country, not the government coming in, deciding, oh yeah, we want to make a redevelopment area, and we're going to make it real easy for you, developer, because if we don't think the price, that person doesn't get the price that they want, we'll just let you come in and just take over their property. That sounds to me like Soviet Russia, not the United States of America. But thanks to Kelo, I guess that's what we got. But remember, everybody in this country hated the Kelo decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hira. Can I have a motion on 151 and 152, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of resolutions 151 and 152 and call for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
No to both.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes on 151, no on 152.
Sadowski?
Yes on 151 and no on 152.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes on 151, no 152.
Brown?
Yes on 151 and no on 152.
Byer?
Yes on both.
Kalbas?
Yes on both.
Alvarez?
Yes on 151, no on 152. Ms. Malik, 157?
152 failed.
Thank you, Mr. Bodak.
I think this resolution this campaign is excellent. The question I have is, I know some people that are shut-ins, and when they talk about the Red Cross will provide the citizens or the residents with these detectors, how is this going to go about? Will they pick these individuals to get this, especially those, my concern is for someone that's a shut-in that doesn't have the opportunity to talk to people, because this is very good.
The person who set this up, Chief?
Good evening once again, Mrs. Malik. We were approached by the American Red Cross to partner in this home safety program. We are joining with the ROTC. It's taking place on April 18th. What's going to happen is that members of the Red Cross, the ROTC, the fire department, and our FMBAs are going to canvass a specific area in the 5th Ward that the Red Cross has identified by their responses to the area as a target area for this program. So a lead-out team will go, they'll canvass the area, they'll identify homeowners who are interested in having the smoke detectors installed, and then follow-on crews will go through, trained personnel who will then install the smoke detectors for them.
So it's just for the 5th Ward?
At this time, yes. This is the Red Cross's program. It's, just so you know also...
So it's like a pilot program, so to speak?
Correct, but there is also a public program. The state of New Jersey provides us annually with a number of smoke detectors that we can give out to low-income, seniors, people who don't have them and need them. All they have to do is come to the fire prevention office or give us a call, and we can help them with that also. So we have 2 avenues here that we can help you if you come out and give us a call.
On the latter, where do I go to contact this individual you're saying? The preparedness?
For the ones that we have, for the city, you just come to our fire prevention office at headquarters,
That's-
302 Southwood Avenue.
Okay, excellent, thanks.
Ms. Malik, before you sit down, or you can sit down, we have the Red Cross here. Gentlemen, want to come up? Ms. Molly?
Well, it's, I'm a volunteer with the Red Cross, and the program is a national program that the Red Cross is doing. It is designed to get smoke detectors in homes. The difference between, I guess, the Red Cross program and the state program is that the state program provides the smoke detectors for residents to pick up. The Red Cross program actually makes sure that smoke detectors are installed with working batteries. We have had several home fires in Linden. We looked at our records and where the Red Cross responded to provide assistance to residents. And it's a 5-year program that is taking place. We work with the North Jersey portion of it, and we are beginning in the 5th Ward because that's where most of the fires that we've responded to have occurred. But it will encompass other areas of the city as well. And in addition to canvassing specific areas, part of what we're doing is also taking names. And for those residents that are unable to answer the door or ask for our assistance in installing a smoke detector, they could contact their council person, and they can contact me, and we will make sure that it happens. And this is my boss. He works for the Red Cross. His name is Mel Plager. Well,
thank you. There's just a couple of things to say. The 5 years allows us to expand this beyond just this location. The essence of it is, let's find a spot, let's try it. The fire department has been fantastic because they're going to do the installations. And when your guys committed to that, we just stood up and went hooray, because it is that important. It gives them the opportunity to go in and look at a house, and maybe it has 3 bedrooms. So we're not going to do one smoke alarm. We'll do whatever is necessary according to what the fire department tells us needs to be done for that house. So this will be step 1. There's a fair, isn't it, Health and Safety, the 29th of April, excuse me. Let's get that right. And at that night, we're going to be there as well with the program, and we'll be signing people up. Now, that's citywide. That's just not the area. So anybody can come in. We're going to give them a lot of work. I mean, that's about the bottom line. But we're also developing our own installation team, and they're going to work behind the fire department that day so they can learn what they need to know to do it better. So maybe out of the 29th activity, we'll get maybe a much larger quantity. But the essence is, whatever we need to do to get these into the homes, that's the idea. I'll give you, she gave you her phone number. If you want my contact information, you're very welcome to it. It's just a matter of, we want to do this. This is important. It isn't that we cannot stop fires. We all know that. But the idea is we can save lives. Because if you look around New Jersey, look at East Orange, look at Orange, and in Elizabeth, where there have been deaths as a result of fires. This is what we're working to prevent. Okay? That's the essence of it. It's a nationwide program, and I can't say enough about it, but I just think very highly that this is going to be a tremendous success here, and that's what we're looking for. So thank you very much for listening.
No, thank you. From all our residents, thank you very much to all of you.
By the way, I need to tell you something. She lives in town,
We know.
but she is one of our key responders across the entire Union County area when fires occur. She'll go out any time of night, work with the clients, get them housed, get them money for food, and give them funding for emergency clothing. So it's not just an idle shot that we asked her just because she lives here. She happens to really know what she's doing, and that's what makes it work. Okay?
Molly, thank you very much for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Council President? Council President?
Yes, sir.
If you would, I just want to try to truly emphasize to our citizens the importance of the smoke detectors. There have been a number of incidents this winter where, without a doubt, smoke detectors made a difference in saving lives. And also, it provides us the early warning so that we can get to a fire while it's small. At last night's caucus, we've had fires at about $5.3, $5.4 million worth of properties. And as a result of early detection and notification, 92% of that value has been saved. And it's really about smoke detectors and a strong 9/11 program, and that's why we're very excited to partner with the Red Cross here. Thank you.
Right. Like it's built in already. Yeah, thank you. Can I have a motion for 157, please?
Council President, I make a motion for the approval of Resolution 157. Call for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown? Byer?
Yes.
Colobus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. We have a few new resolutions. Mr. Bode, can we start with 158? Can you please read it for us?
Whereas NJSA 48:4-78B has authorized the local finance board to adopt rules that permits municipalities in sound fiscal condition to assume the responsibility normally granted to the Director of the Division of Local Government Services of conducting the annual budget examination. And whereas NJAC 5:30-7 was adopted by the local finance board on February 11th, 1997, and whereas pursuant to NJAC 5:30-7.2 through 7.5, the city of Linden has been declared eligible to participate in the program by the Division of Local Government Services, and the chief financial officer has determined that the local government meets the necessary conditions to participate in the program for the 2015 budget year. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Linden that in accordance with NJAC 5:30-7.6A and 7.6B, and based upon the Chief Financial Officer's certification, the governing body has found that the budget has met the following requirements. 1, that pursuant to the following items, the amounts have been calculated pursuant to the law and appropriated as such in the budget. A, payment of interest and debt redemption charges. B, deferred charges and statutory expenditures. C, cash deficit of preceding year. D, reserve for uncollected taxes. E, other reserves and non-reimbursement items. F, any inclusions of amounts required for school purposes. 2, that the provisions relating to limitations on increases of appropriations pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.2 and appropriations for exceptions to limits on appropriations found at NJSA 48:4-45.3 at sequence are fully met, complies with the cap law. 3, the budget is in such form, arrangement, and content as required by the local budget law and NJAC 5:30-4 and 5:30-5. 4, that pursuant to the local budget law, A, all estimates of revenue are reasonable, accurate, and correctly stated. B, items of appropriation are properly set forth. C, in itemization, form, arrangement, and content, the budget will permit the exercise of the controller function within the municipality. 5, the budget and associated amendments have been introduced and publicly advertised in accordance with the relevant provisions of the local budget law, except that failure to meet the deadlines of NJSA 48:4-5 shall not prevent such certifications. 6, that all other applicable statutory requirements have been fulfilled. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Director of the Division of Local Government Services upon its adoption.
Any comments on 158 from the public? May I have a motion on 158?
Council President, I make a motion for the approval of Resolution 158. Ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colobus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read 159?
Resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Linden, County of Union, New Jersey, extending the term of a license agreement with Meridia Lifestyle Urban Renewal Linden LLC for the use of Old Firehouse Number 1. Whereas the City of Linden entered a license agreement dated November 1, 2013 with Meridia Lifestyle Urban Renewal Linden LLC respecting the use of the Old Firehouse Number 1. And whereas the city has entered the license in aid and furtherance of the entity's redevelopment project located near Firehouse on Southwood Avenue, and whereas by terms the license is currently renewable annually by the entity for one-year periods through October 31st, 2017, and whereas the city has determined that it is in the best interest to amend the license to extend its term through October 31st, 2020, so as to further advance the entity's redevelopment project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the City of Linden, New Jersey as follows. Section 1, the foregoing recitals are incorporated herein as if set forth in full. 2, Section 2, the terms of the license is hereby extended to October 31st, 2020. The mayor, in consultation with council, is authorized to execute a written agreement to the license to provide for same. Section 3, other than the extension of the terms of the license, all terms and conditions of the license shall remain unchanged and in effect. Section 4, a copy of this resolution shall remain on file and available for inspection in the office of City Clerk. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Ms. Hero, you have a comment for 159?
Sure, thank you. Please remind me why Meridia is using our old Firehouse Number 1?
Originally, the deal that was made, we rented them, so that's where they have their office. They use the back for different materials that they store. And now what they're going to be doing, they're going to be fixing it up, and hopefully, they might bring their main offices here into Linden.
Oh, okay, so that's why that's why it's being extended through 2020?
Yes, well, they do, they're developing a lot in that side of town. They have Phase 1, 2, and 3. I'm sure if you drive by, you can see Phase 1, the townhomes, and then they're going to move on to the next parts. So they need an office or a place they can work out from.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I just want to say, I don't think, is the amount on this reso, how much we're renting this for? I think we're renting this for $1. This is the same reso I voted no against. My feeling is that it's a private entity that has hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. They should be paying us either property taxes or something higher than that. So this is why I'm voting no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hero. Can I have a motion for 159, please?
Council President, make a motion for the approval of Resolution 159. Ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
I'm voting yes on this, only because I was assured by the company that they would open Morris Avenue up between Wood Avenue and Clinton Street. As it is now, it is blocked. You cannot go through. But I was assured that during the next construction, this will be open. It probably will alleviate some of the problems for Sixth School. And that's the only reason I'm voting yes. If it was closed, I would vote no. But my vote is yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
As I said before, we should be getting paid more than $1 a year. That's why I'm voting no.
Byer?
Yes.
Kalbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read 2015-160?
Resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with Edward Kaloji, Esquire of the firm Kaloji Smiths, for the representation of Councilman Peter Brown. Whereas the local ethics board in the Department of Community Affairs has filed charges against Councilman Peter Brown, and whereas Councilman Peter Brown is entitled to an administrative hearing and appeal, and whereas pursuant to Section 2-78.7 of the Code of the City of Linden, Councilman Peter Brown is entitled to have representation provided. Whereas Edward Kaloji Esquire will retain, pursuant to a non-fair and open process, to to represent the interest of Councilman Peter Brown. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Linden as follows. 1, Edward Kaloji Esquire of the firm Kaloji Simmons is hereby authorized and retained as counsel to represent Peter Brown for said administrative hearing and appeal at an hourly rate of $150 per hour, a total not to exceed $5,000. 2, Edward Kaloji Esquire is retained to undertake such matter, a fee not to exceed $5,000. 3, Edward Kaloji Esquire to be retained pursuant to a non-fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44-20.4 at sequence. 4, the Chief Financial Officer or her designee has certified to the availability of funds for the purpose to be charged to account 5-01-20-155-123-255. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Any questions on this from the public? Can I have a motion, please?
Council President, make a motion for the approval of the resolution 116. 160, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Abstain.
Yemakaitis?
Abstain.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Abstain.
Cosby Hurling?
Abstain.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Abstain.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Abstain.
Alvarez?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Mr. Porter, can you please read 2015-161?
Resolution authorizing a contract with Eric Bernstein Esquire of the firm Eric Bernstein and Associates LLC for the representation of the mayor and certain members of the governing body. Whereas the local finance board in the Department of Community Affairs has filed charges against Mayor Derek Armstead, Councilman Armando Medina, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, Councilman Robert Sadowski, Councilman Chris Colbus, and Councilwoman Rashana Crosby Hurling. And whereas Mayor Derek Armstead, Councilman Armando Medina, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, Councilman Robert Sadowski, Councilman Robert Christopher Colbus, and Councilwoman Rashana Crosby Hurling are entitled to an administrative hearing and appeal. And whereas pursuant to Section 2-78.7 of the Code of the City of Linden, Mayor Derek Armstead, Councilman Armando Medina, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, Councilman Robert Sadowski, Councilman Christopher Colbus, and Councilwoman Rashana Crosby Hurling are entitled to have representation provided, whereas Eric Bernstein Esquire will be retained pursuant to a non-fair and open process to represent the interests of Mayor Derek Armstead, Councilman Armando Medina, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, Councilman Robert Sadowski, Councilman Chris Colbus, and Councilwoman Rashana Crosby Hurling. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Linden as follows. Eric Bernstein Esquire of the firm Eric Bernstein and Associates LLC is hereby authorized and retained as counsel to represent Mayor Derek Armstead, Councilman Armando Medina, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, Councilman Robert Sadowski, Councilman Christopher Colbus, and Councilwoman Rashana Crosby Hurling at an hourly rate of $150 per hour, a total not to exceed $5,000. 2, Eric Bernstein is retained to undertake such matters at a fee not to exceed $5,000. Eric Bernstein Esquire to be retained pursuant to a non-fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44-20.4 at sequence. 4, the Chief Financial Officer or her designee has certified to the availability of funds for this purpose to be charged to account number 50-01-20-155-123-255. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Any comments on 161? Can I have a motion for 161, please?
Council President, make a motion for the approval of resolution 161. Call for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Abstain.
Yamakaitis?
Abstain.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Abstain.
Cosby Hurling?
Abstain.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain, sorry.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Abstain.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Ordinances on first readings. We'll go one at a time, and we will have comments from the public. No questions, because there will be no answers. We will just be taking comments. Mr. Burdick, ordinance number 59-11.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $23,100 for acquisition of a Groundmaster Cutter Toro with plow for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $21,945,000 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Any comments from the public? Can I have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 5911, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Yes.
Brooks? Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Burdick, can you read 59-12, please?
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $39,600 for acquisition of a hot patch trailer for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $37,620 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Any comments from the public? Can I have a motion for 59-12?
Council President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 5912, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Burdick, can you please read 59-13?
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $71,500 for acquisition of a brush chipping machine for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $67,925 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Any comments from the public? May I have a motion, please?
I'd like to introduce ordinance 5913 and seek a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Burdick, can you please read ordinance 59-14?
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $110,000 for acquisition of asphalt for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $104,500 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Any comments on this ordinance?
I'd like to make a comment.
What? You want to make a comment? What's your comment, Ms. Cosby?
So I waited till the last one before we introduced that, just to let everyone know. These are the improvements that were coming out of our committee, and these are things that are going to be beneficial to us when we're talking about the potholes earlier today, and we need the right equipment. So these items were put into the budget, and we're putting them on tonight so we can get started. The hot patch is going to be very, very, very important because it keeps the asphalt warm, so when we get from picking it up to getting to put it in, it's still effective. So this is equipment that we're going to use for a long, long time. I just wanted to add that the department actually is looking to make sure that they have the manpower to run these machines. So again, I want to thank everybody for supporting these resolutions, these on introduction. I'm asking
Thank you.
for introduction of 5914 and seek a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Burdick, can you please read ordinance 59-15?
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $110,000 for the replacement of HVAC units at the Linden Multipurpose Center and authorizing the issuance of $104,500 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Any comments from the public? Can I have a motion for 59-15?
Approval of ordinance 5915 and call for a
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read ordinance 59-16?
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $440,000 for the replacement of a roof at the Linden Multipurpose Center and authorizing the issuance of $418,000 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Any comments from the public? Can I have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like a motion for the approval of ordinance 5916. Call for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Excuse?
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read ordinance 59-17?
Ordinance establishing a cap bank for calendar year 2015.
Any comments from the public? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, make a motion for the passage of ordinance 59-17 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Excuse?
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read ordinance 59-18?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 18 Sewer and Water shall be amended as follows. Delete Section 17-8.10 User Charges. Add new Section 17-8.10 User Charges.
Any comments from the public? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, make a motion for the approval of ordinance 5918 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling? Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Well, that's it for the first reading on the ordinances. Now we're going to comments from the members. Has anybody not signed the list? Anybody wants to make a comment? Ms. Molly, can you please come up?
Council President,
Yes?
might interrupt for 1 second. I just failed to mention earlier in my report that our joint community meeting will be held at the Linden Presbyterian Church on Orchard Terrace and Princeton Road. So again, I failed to mention that, and it will also be advertised on the Linden 9th Ward Facebook and the Linden 10th Ward Facebook page as well. At 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Just want to remind everybody that comes up, your comments will be directed to me. Any questions will be directed to me. If we have an answer, I will pass it over to whomever, but it will be directed to me. Molly, the floor is all yours.
Okay. Basically, I just wanted to provide a little bit more information about the campaign. I am an unpaid volunteer for the American Red Cross's Disaster Assistance Team, and I've been volunteering with them for the past 10 years. And I can tell you that home fires are the biggest disaster threat that people face. There have been several fires in Linden over the past few years, and they have displaced dozens of residents. The Red Cross launched an initiative called the Home Fire Preparedness Campaign, and its aim is to reduce deaths and injuries caused by home fires by 25% over a 5-year period. And the Red Cross is partnering with fire departments and community organizations across the country to help families become better prepared for and to take important steps to prevent home fires. Since the launch of the Home Fire Preparedness Campaign, the American Red Cross North Jersey region and its community partners have installed more than 520 smoke alarms and helped teach hundreds of families about fire safety in cities including East Orange, Perth Amboy, Patterson, and Orange. And we're now looking forward to bringing this potentially life-saving initiative, Home to Linden. And now that the council has approved the implementation of the campaign, we're finalizing the date of Saturday, April 18th, for a Red Cross Fire Safety Canvassing event in partnership with the City of Linden and the Linden Fire Department. For the record, there is no cost to the City of Linden or its residents for this beneficial program. The American Red Cross is providing the smoke detectors, which have been donated, and volunteers from the Red Cross and Linden Fire Department will canvass the area and install the smoke detectors. We're beginning our efforts in the 5th Ward, where several fires have occurred, and as I mentioned, that will be on the morning of Saturday, April 18th, but the campaign will go across the city over the coming 5 years. And additionally, the Red Cross is participating in Linden's Health and Safety Fair, which is on Wednesday, April 29th at School Number 1 on Wood Avenue at Curtis from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. And at that event, which is a citywide event, we'll have information on home fire prevention, disaster preparedness, and also give you information on the free mobile phone apps that the Red Cross offers, and we hope to see you there. As I mentioned before, if a resident is interested in a smoke detector, they can contact their council person or the mayor's office. The mayor knows how to get a hold of me, and we'll just add them to the list, get back to them, and help them get smoke detectors. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Red Cross, thank you. Do you guys deal with anything where all they're all connected within the house? When one goes off, they all go off?
Hardwire.
They're individual ones? Because I had that done on mine when I moved in. Every time my mother cooks, the whole house goes crazy. Ms. Wolverton?
No.
There we go. Diane Wolverton, 6th Ward. I just want to know what was going on with the GM property.
Well, not sure. We can find out exactly what it is. You know, there was lawsuits going back between ShopRite and Duke. We don't know exactly, and maybe I can ask the law department exactly where we are or where they are with that. But rumors, and again, just rumors, is Walmart has pulled out, which means they're going to stay where they are because they are renovating the building that they have. So at this present time, I don't have an answer for you. Danny, do you know what's going on with Duke at the GM site?
I think it's, Mr. Council President, still in litigation, but I'll have to get you a better update on that.
Okay, I believe that right now Walmart has pulled out, but don't take it for it. We will find
And they're
out.
considered the anchor store?
One of them. Normally they put two.
Uh-huh.
I don't know which
Who's
one
the
is the
other one?
second one.
And then you said Wawa's finished. Okay, that's what I want to know.
Thank you. Ms. Hero, you're next, but can we hold you to the end? I always enjoy what you say. You want to wait till the end? All right, you can go now.
Thank you so much for the compliment. My name is Pat Hero. Happy St. Patrick's Day. First, I want to thank the DPW worker who was kind and helpful to me when I fell on my driveway. I'd like to congratulate the Linden High football and basketball teams for their outstanding performances this season. Now, I'd like to address something that concerned me from the February meeting. Mayor, Council President, and Council people, you are our employees. We, the people, are your employers. We come here to the podium to address our concerns. And by the way, we're just the tip of the iceberg. People are talking about this beauty parlors, nail salons on the street, and of course at the podium. We don't get paid for doing this, but do it out of care and concern for our community. Think of us as early warning signals. If you heed our concerns and make corrections, you are likely to be reemployed. If you ignore or dismiss our concerns, you are likely to be an ex-mayor, ex-council president, or ex-council person. I've always admired the intelligence and dedicated service that Ms. Virginia Malik brings to the podium for the citizens of Linden. I was surprised at the mayor's reaction to her inquiring about his holding his county job and his mayor's position at the same time. She was addressing the concerns that other people had brought to her. Of course, the mayor would say he is performing his duties very effectively as mayor. While an employee may say they are doing a very effective job, and I'm not saying the mayor isn't, it is the employers, that's the residents of Linden, determination that matters. After all, we are, through our property taxes, paying the mayor's salary as well as his salary in his county job. When you tell us, I don't think it should be a question for you or anybody else, as long as I can do my job as the mayor, and anyway, I don't think it's any of your business. Well, that seems to indicate a disregard to address your constituents' concerns. Or maybe you're just a little tired from your 2 jobs. Remember, it's public service, not public serve us, the politicians. Thank you for your time. And Carol, this was for you. It's the last thing I told you I would do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hero, and you're right. You're 100% right. We answer to all of you, and we will continue to answer to all of you. Next time I need a raise, can I call you? Can I have Scooty? You're up, sir.
You don't use his government name?
Bob Scutro, sorry.
A couple quick questions. Can you explain to me the reasoning between how you guys picked North Humane Society for animal control? You put a bid out, they came in at $147,000. You had another bid come in at $98,000. You accepted it. Why?
Nancy, can you answer that for us, please?
It's with the code.
Technically, according to state law, if there's a society for prevention, which Humane Society is, we don't have to go out for bid if we come to an amicable deal, contract with them. We do not have to go out for bid on those
Right, services. but you put it out for bid, and you had one bid come at $147,000, one come in at $98,000. I presented to Mr. Alvarez, Perth Amboy, came in at $75,000. So he's not entertaining it. Okay, why? You saved me $75,000, okay, but you're not interested in entertaining it. They killed 5 animals last year, and you're saving us $75,000. I'm asking Mr. Alvarez why he's not interested in it.
I don't have an answer for you right now, sir.
Okay, I'd like you to look into it.
I will look into
Amboy-
it.
Perth Amboy answers to the Perth Amboy Police Department. Humane Society answers to nobody. They answer to themselves.
This is what I will do for you, sir. I'm going to sit down with Nancy personally.
Okay, as you
We'll
see
take
on
some
number
time.
6 as I gave you, at their own discretion, they put down dogs or adopt after 7 days, okay, answer to no one. We had an incident on the 428 Brook Street. Nancy wasn't involved with it. They took a dog out of a house, okay? They declared it an empty, abandoned house. People lived on the 1st and 2nd floor. They took the dog, okay, in October, our animal control officers went to the house. They knew there was an owner to the house. Dog lived in bad conditions. They took the dog. They refused to give it back to the owner's mother. I gave you why. I want to keep that personal. They made the man give a certified letter to Scott Crawford back to where he's staying at. It took another 2 weeks to get the dog back to the people. Then they made the woman sign a letter stating that she cannot give the dog away, has to be returned to the Humane Society, will not take the dog out of the truck until she signed it. Another thing the citizens should know about when they pick up a dog, there's a $95 fee. Okay? Also, if they give the dog shots, the citizens have to pay for the shots. You know what else they did to the dog, Mr. Alvarez? On their own, they knew this was the owner of the dog, they neutered the dog. They wanted $374 from these people for taking that dog in. These are all unexpected costs that people don't know about, that citizens should know about. They do what they want, and it says it right on line 6. It's their property when they take the dog in.
This is Newark?
This is Newark. It says it right on line 6, and everybody signed without reading. Now, what happens if a senior citizen loses their dog? Okay? They didn't put a notice on the guy's door saying, we have the dog, or nothing. In October, John went to the house. He was looking for John, going to animal control, didn't know where to close. He finally contacted me. I contacted Nancy, who contacted Newark, tried to get the dog back. I contacted the people's parents. I contacted the place where it was at, got the dog returned to the people. Okay? We're trying to save the citizens money. There's $75,000 being saved, and you people aren't interested in saving taxpayers' money or dogs' lives. It says right there, in 7-day hold, at our discretion, we'll put the dogs down. Over in Perth Amboy, they answer to the police department, okay? They've got dogs there for 2 years they haven't put down, because they don't put dogs down. But we're not interested in entertaining it. Why? And saving the taxpayers $75,000. This doesn't seem right. That's all I got to say.
Let me look into it. I'll have a meeting with Nancy, and I'll get an answer to you, sir. Mr. Roman?
Mr. Mayor, Council President, Council. Just talking about some things from before, Council President, that were mentioned.
Yes, I'm sorry. She just told me. You're next. I'm sorry. You're next.
Want to go? Just talking about some things I heard tonight. In regards to the firehouse, and yeah, we leased it to Meridia for $1. We leased to Meridia for $1 because they needed places to put their equipment while we were rebuilding our entire city. So, you know, yeah, we had a vacant property there, and to let them use it while they rebuild our downtown, and after they're done rebuilding, stores are going to open up in the area, more people are going to be using the trains, more people are going to be using everything over there. I mean, there are people that never even thought about living in Linden that are going to come to Linden because of they can get to the train station real quick, they can eat right there. I mean, this is going to have a huge economic development, and we're not going to do it with just $15,000. I mean, to be mad about that is just absurd that someone wants to build in Linden and you want to give them trouble over trying to do that. Another thing that was, in regards to the LEDC that was spoken to me before, yes, it is the LEDC's responsibility to go find their own private funding to help them do the economic development in the city of Linden. The council in 2012 during a budget crisis cut their budget in half, which made the executive director leave, which, made it much harder for them to do their job overall. To think that a BA is not going to, that their job is just say, hey, employee, you're promoted, hey, employee, you're fired, hey, employee, put here, to just run a city and not have anything to do with economic development is absurd. Of course they're going to have something to do with economic development. The city of Rahway is thriving right now. And it's because they have for many reasons, but one of them is because they have an awesome BA that is back there doing events, getting people in the streets of the city, and all those people run out and go to the bars and the restaurants and everything else. And that is something that we don't have right out here, because on a Friday night out here, there's no one out there. You can get a parking spot right in front, right here, and it's not a problem. And if we're not going to adapt to what other cities have already done, then there's no reason to even try. Thank you, sir.
Can I
Council
respond to that?
President?
No, no response. No.
Oh, it's public comment.
No.
You can't respond?
I said no.
Ms. Malik?
So, Council President, when can I respond?
No response on that. No need. There was no question. He made a comment.
So I can put my name on the list. Your name's on there.
Ms. Malik, you're on.
Thank you. Because of the state of our city finances, we're in really no position to squander money, live with excesses, and also to misallocate resources that could be used for better use. quite often I receive phone calls from other city residents, and recently I received a call by a city resident, and this was also another resident had confirmed what he was saying, who asked me to bring up the following point about to the public, since this individual is concerned about misuse of our valuable resources. And in this case, it's actually our police department. And from my understanding, the police department at one time or another was about 135 people, and I think we're down to maybe 122 officers. And I've heard many times coming to the city council meetings that we could use a lot more officers. And also, there's a concern that, you know, we're in a financial crunch with a shortfall in our treasury, and that's requiring us to raise our taxes. To get to the case in point, the person challenged, why does our police department provide personal drivers to our mayor to attend a state championship? And I don't know if this is a standard procedure or whatever, but that's a rhetorical question for now. It's commendable that we have a mayor that takes interest in our high school sports and activities, and that's great that he attends. But, you know, a car is given to our mayor at that time to drive there. But to be chauffeured to this meeting, which is being the case in point that was raised about misappropriation of our resources, but also that, what I understand, that James Moore was given the right or named to be the driver for our mayor for, you know, service of for his services at $1. But this action, even I, after I heard about this, is considered questionable and, you know, cause for misuse of our funds. And more so when one thinks about this perk, you know, it's incurring overtime for our police officer who's being taken away from his line of duty. So that makes sense. And, you know, once again, I keep hearing when people come to the city or come to city council meetings, you know, we could use more police officers, more police officers. So this officer, instead of doing something more appropriate, defending our city, is actually driving someone around. So I don't know if we have a slush fund to take care of these different activities or this one particular activity providing personal chauffeur services to our mayor. And I'd like to take this up with Alexis next time I come to her office, maybe later this week. And that's all I really have to say, just to bring to the public what someone had asked me about this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malik. I'm sure we'll bring it up in council. Thank you.
Mr. President, may I comment?
What was that?
I said, may I comment?
No, sir. No need.
Okay, well,
No, Mayor? Ms. Cosby?
Yes. So I put my name on the list because, as you see, the council president lets us speak only when he wants us to speak, because he's trying to maintain a little decorum, and I respect that. But I would like to say that, having been on the other side of the dais and running for election and re-election, there was one thing that I've always heard, and I've said even myself: when you have to make a cut, you have to cut. And we keep hearing cut from the top down, cut from the top down. There is an abuse, in my opinion, only my opinion, where some of our highly paid employees will, because they can, earn overtime. When you have a base salary of more than $100,000 and then you are authorized to work overtime, and even on holidays for things that maybe a lesser paid person can do, and I'm not talking about public works. We had a few issues with the storm, and that was addressed. I'm talking about white collar. And, you know, efficiency is being able to manage your day, being able to share the work responsibility. I'm just going to say it again: if your base salary is over $100,000, you want to get overtime simply because you can? It's absurd. So I know the committee for negotiations is looking at this. What we're looking to do is to make certain employees considered exempt from the bargaining unit. And I'll be perfectly honest, I'm no one's favorite up here because I don't change my position. And having come from the private sector, it is what it is. Business is business. So if you were to take, and what I've done, and you can even ask the treasurer or the labor specialist, when I ask for information, I will remove the person's name from it. And I'm simply looking at position, I'm looking at salary, and where can we make an adjustment? That's what we need to do in this business. Now, I'm not like Councilman Brown. I don't want to be on the committee and look at the numbers all day, every day, but I do understand business. I understand the need, and I understand when a cut is necessary or several cuts are necessary. I sat here with Councilman Cozio and some of the city council members, and there was an extensive plan for layoffs. But when it came down to a vote, everybody got a different opinion suddenly. But we made this labor specialist, where did he go? Work very hard to put it together. There are time restraints on this, and what it all boiled down to were relationships. We have to move away from relationships and move into the business world, and those are my comments as a member of the public and as a taxpayer. And I'm going to continue to work hard as a council member. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cosby.
Yep.
What?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Okay, you're on.
Thank you. No, I feel I have to respond to this as far as LEDC or these comments as far as Linden. Long story short is, I think this is my third year being chairman of the Finance Committee, so let's state the facts. First year, we were $5.2 million over the cap. For the last 2 years, we've been under cap, a complete turnaround. I'm not saying we're out of the woods, but it seems like we're doing something right here on council. Second is that lowest tax rate increase since 2006, using less reserves than we have in years past. Another plus. Also had an upgrade from one of our bond rating agencies from a negative outlook to a stable outlook within a 1-year turnaround. Not only were we able to cut expenses, but then also we're also talking about ratables coming into town. When we talk about LEDC is just one part, if you want to say, of a team that we have here in Linden. When I mean a team, you have LEDC, you have SID that's in our downtown, you have the Linden Industrial Association, you have the mayor, and you have the council that's also part of the redevelopment engine in town here. For the last couple of years, we have all worked together on bringing redevelopment here, and to point one organization out saying they're solely responsible is a fallacy when for the last couple of months, the mayor himself has brought in developers in every council meeting talking about the projects and ratables that will be coming into town. While most residents only see what's in front of them, such as what's going on Southwood Avenue and in my ward on East Elizabeth, there's projects that are taking place down in the Trumley Point area in Councilman, the 7th Ward, Councilman's ward, and down on the GM property. So to me, it's a fallacy to believe that redevelopment is not happening in town. And I don't want to speak for the mayor, but he's been having meetings with developers that looks encouraging. And to point out just one organization is responsible, like I said, the proof is in the pudding. We have, in my opinion, gotten ourselves out of the hole, and now we're looking to replenish reserves and get Linden back on track within only a short amount of time. End comment.
Thank you, sir. And yes, it was a very good job with the budget, and you're right. You know, a lot of people contribute. Finally, and it's going to be very short, Mr. Armstead.
Thank you, Council President. I just feel that it's appropriate to respond in some fashion. First of all, today is March 17th, right? So I'm mayor for a month, 2 months and maybe 17 days. Several months ago, well, in the beginning of the year, I had requested that we hire a clerk/driver. And we hired one. His name is Jimmy Moore. He's a former council president. It was my intention when we hired him to alleviate the police department's responsibility to take me to various places. That being said, I am entitled to a police escort when I go to places. Other mayors have done it, and not just here in Linden, but in other towns. But to date, the only day that I've utilized a police officer was one night. And let me just give you a little background on that evening. I called my clerk/driver to drive that evening, and he came to drive. And he mentioned to me that his wife was, not exactly 100% over the last few days that he came. And I took one look at him, and I realized that he was very tired. He was lethargic. He agreed to drive me, and I said, Jim, I said, you know what? I don't think you should drive. I said, and I was not 100% myself that day, and I did call the chief, and I had him send one of his officers down to drive me, which I'm entitled to, okay? But I would think that to have a police officer escort me one day out of the 2.5 months that I've been here is not a bad deal. Now, former Council President James Moore has driven me on a number of occasions, okay, when I was not up to task. And I think that it is an advantage to have a person drive you who's not charging the city. And believe me, I do not call the chief on a frequent basis looking for someone to transport me. When I do need transportation and I do feel it's necessary to have a police officer, I think I'm entitled to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not trying to abuse anybody's authority or abuse my authority or take advantage of a situation. I just thought it was prudent on my behalf to have a police officer driving that evening. It was a very, well, it wasn't a substantial distance, but it was a good distance, and it was night. And not only that, it was a basketball game. And if ever there's an area that you think maybe you might want to have a police officer, maybe that would have been it. So thank you for your comments, and that's my rationale.
Thank you, Mayor. God, I love this job. The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting, Monday, April 20th, 2015 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to a council meeting, Tuesday, April 21st, 2015 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, April 21st, 2015 at 7 p.m. in the council chamber, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Can I please have a motion for adjournment?
Motion, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Hickey?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brown?
Abstain.
Byer?
Yes.
Colbus?
Yes.
Alvarez? Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Everybody have a good night, drive carefully, and enjoy your St. Patrick's Day.